Okay, call the meeting of the Board of Selectmen for September 15th, 2020 to order. We have roll call, please.
Yes, good evening. All the selectmen are present, as is town council and town administrator.
Okay, Pledge of Allegiance. Frank. Okay, announcements. Alan.
No,
None?
nothing's current.
Okay. Patrick?
I have nothing to announce.
Jim?
Announcements, what's coming up? Nothing. What's
Noth-
the 23rd?
Hmm?
23rd is what, Tuesday?
22nd is Tuesday.
Yeah, 23rd is Wednesday.
Right.
Yeah, we'll have a CMW on the 23rd. We'll have a CMW meeting on the 23rd. It's Carver, Marion, Wareham Regional Refuge District. And it's gonna be in Carver. I don't know where yet. That's about it for announcements.
Okay. Thanks. Do we have any announcements in the folder?
Yes?
Okay.
I do have a
Yes.
couple, yeah. May I just ask a question? Mr. Jepson, are you going to be presenting this information in citizens' participation? Well, I need to finish my report. I don't want to double do it. Okay. There are several places where people can get COVID-19 testing, and they include the CVS in New Bedford, but you are required to have an appointment. They include the VA in Plymouth, but you have to have an appointment. The Urgent Care Center in New Bedford, you do not need an appointment. Cape Cod Healthcare Urgent Care, and you do need an appointment. And that's it. So there are places where you can get tested if you so choose. And then, let's see. I want to give a shout out to the Wareham Garden Club men and women who have been weeding every Wednesday. They call it their Weeding Wednesdays, and the gardens around town look great. Thank you very much for that. Don't Trash Wareham paid for the T-shirts for many of the volunteers cleaning up Onset Beach all summer long, and just want to make sure that everyone understands that picking up other people's trash is not fun, but we very much appreciate what the trash pixies did in Onset. The Possibilities Youth Art Contest Gallery, which is the dog park fundraising thing, the art is on display at the Main Street Post Office through September 26th, and really important, they stopped their can drive, bottle and can drive. So if you've been saving your bottles and cans and giving them to them, give them to the OBA or another place that is gathering things. Good Shepherd's Table every Thursday from 4 to 5. Anybody can go to the back of the church on High Street to receive a free meal to take home. You go to the back entrance, you need a mask. And then last but not least, start your Christmas shopping by going to the book sale on the library lawn September 17th from 9 to 4. It's 100 days until Christmas. Really. In addition to the regular sale, the Friends will be selling Christmas-themed books and holiday gifts. They won't be having their holiday fair this year, so this is a chance to do some early shopping for the holidays. They will continue to have outdoor sales in October, weather permitting. And that's it. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any citizens here tonight to speak to the board? We'll start in the back. Claire.
Here tonight as your town moderator. On your agenda tonight, you have
subject matter to discuss town meeting warrant articles and town meeting. I'm more concerned, I think, with our fall town meeting than I was with the spring town meeting. And I know that the chairman has reached out to the school about seeing if we could use the school again in October. The advantage we had last spring was there were no students in the school prior to us doing town meeting. They went home in March. We had our meeting in June. No students came in after that, and had been nobody in the school. If things go according to plan for the school department, you're going to have students coming in on that Monday morning for classes. They're not allowing any public for any other reason other than the school attendees going. So if we were to have town meeting there that Monday night, we would be having town meeting after the students have left. They would be coming back in on Tuesday morning, and there would be no chance to clean after 200 or 300 people have been there. So I think we have to give thought to, going forward, what the circumstances are as we get closer to town meeting. I know there's some concern with some of the school personnel about bringing that number of people in. So I just wanted you to think about, as you do your warrant, we did a calculation, I did a calculation using square footage. Probably the most that we can accommodate between the auditorium and the gym would be just shy of 200. So keep in mind, you know, if something is very controversial that's going to bring out a lot of people, we may have to find a different venue because, and I don't know where we would do it. We could do it out on the football field. Might be a little chilly, might have to rent a tent with heaters. But going forward, I think it's something that we have to think about, we have to probably talk about as we get closer to see where the COVID situation is and what we need to do. So I just wanted that to be in the back of your mind as you're putting together the warrant.
Yeah, there is the possibility, I understand that the schools are looking to do Monday, Tuesday, and then Wednesday off, and then Thursday, Friday sessions. So perhaps doing it on the Wednesday or the Tuesday night or
Tuesday
something
night.
like that, and then that way they can sanitize before the students come back. You know, I don't know what the bigger concern is, us infecting the students or the students infecting us, but at our age, probably the students infecting us, but either way.
Yeah. So
It's a fluid situation, we'll have to see what happens.
just
We
to keep-
do have, we've been spending, you know, tens of thousands of dollars on foggers and other machines. So the idea that we can't sanitize a limited space afterwards, that would be inaccurate. I think people need to understand that we have the equipment, we've spent the money to get that, and Dr. Shaverhood's been sparing no expense on it. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's really, we could sanitize the heck out of it right afterwards, you know. So, but I think if you're thinking more about the residents that maybe aren't usually exposed to kids or the outside, that's probably more of a thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alan?
And-
The one issue that we're going to all have is that if we have any children come down with COVID at all, it shuts everything down. They go back to remote instantly.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
basically the way they register. So if we move from, say, green to red, as an example, then we're back to the other way. So it's all out there. This is something you just roll the dice and cross your fingers.
Yeah.
You have no way to know.
Yeah, it's
Exactly, you know.
moving, but we are scheduled for that Monday night, so either
Yep.
way, the clerk and I would have to open the meeting.
Right, and then
If we have to
continue it,
recess it,
or
we'd have to
recess
change it,
it,
but-
or,
But just keep in mind, like I said, that, you know, that's something we have to really give some thought to.
you've got about 3 different ways to recess it under the emergency legislation, so I don't think you lack for solutions if we do have trouble, or at least the ability to put it down the road, and hope solutions come up in the meantime, so, yeah.
Yeah, no, I just wanted to have a discussion, and I think
Yep.
between now and then that, you know, we're going to have to get together and see, as time goes by, what's
Yep.
going on. Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other citizens? Oh, that's right. Come on up.
Don Jepson, I just wanted to share some information with you. My wife and I were planning to take a few days off and go up to visit with my brother-in-law in Maine. And Maine has Massachusetts as a hotspot in their requirements. So in order to go to Maine, and what you have to do is you have to have a COVID-19 test that has been taken no less than 72 hours before, no more than 72 hours before you enter the state. And so we tried to comply with that, and then so my wife called around. She went to a website, COVID testing near me, and then you put in your addresses, and it brings up ones in the area. She went to CVS, and CVS, basically the closest that we have is in Carver. And what it said there is that all sites that say tests limited to certain patients, you have to send to, you have to get on the website, then you have to answer the questions. Once you answer all the questions that you don't show symptoms, they then say you're not eligible. So that doesn't really help you when you're trying to go to Maine. She then went to AFC Urgent Care in New Bedford. There they say appointment not required, referral not required, testing for all patients. And then she called to make an appointment, and they said that they only make an appointment for that day. Unfortunately, there are no appointments today, and then they tell you to go to the website. So you're into a catch-22 when you go to some of these locations. So I had talked to the tourist bureau in Maine, and I talked with a woman there, and she said, I said, what do we do? We're in a catch-22. CVS says it's 3 to 5 days before, once you have the test, before they will have the results. And she said, well, that same thing happened to her son in New Hampshire. He said, but they were able to do it within 3 days. If they can't get it to you within those 3 days, then you have to go into quarantine if you try to go into a restaurant or any place like that. If you have a Massachusetts or an out-of-state license plate, you can't go there. But you can go to the beach and you can wander around, but you just can't go into any of the facilities. But it seems to me that there should be something, if the state is if the Maine requires that we have that requirement, which is within their purview, how do we get around that? And what can be done for the other people? It's not just us, it's for anybody in Wareham who's probably getting itchy to go a little further than Wareham.
There's a place in Orleans that does 15-minute tests. I know because my daughter and her boyfriend came from Florida, and they had to test 72 hours before they got on the boat to go to Martha's Vineyard. So they went there and they tested, and they give their test results in 15 minutes. They do the 15-minute test. Now there's a little catch because you got to pay for it if you're not sick. And it's like $200. But if you happen to have a sore throat, they'll test you for free.
Well, that's the thing is if you're healthy, they don't want to test you.
No, they'll test everybody, but you're going to pay for it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. If you happen to have a sore throat or some symptom, they'll test you for free, and that's how it works.
I think he's giving you a hint, Don. So your throat's not feeling too hot.
Yeah, you sound a little scratchy over there.
Yeah,
I
but
went this
it's
morning
in Orleans.
Cough, and if I had a running nose, and
It's in Orleans, and I
get
actually
it done anyway.
it's in Orleans, and I actually
Probably
got the
doing Maine,
name
but-
of the place from Bobby Ethia.
Yep.
So I forget what it is, but I can get it, and I'll send it to the chair, and then he can make
Yeah,
everybody
make it
have
available.
But it's in Orleans, 15 minutes. They do the test in 15 minutes.
Yeah, and it costs you $200 if you don't have a sore throat.
Yeah. Don doesn't want to pay the 200. That's abundantly clear.
Oh,
I'm going to cover that fee.
All right,
cost.
Don.
Okay. Just one other thing, I just continue to follow up on the dredging. I know that if we wait long enough, that sea level rise will take care of that situation, but I just wanted to note, has the last time I was here, we talked, well, when we talked about what was going on with the dredging of the Federal Navigational Channel, what was holding it up was the town had to submit a harbor information form, and I received a copy of that, but I was not to complete it, so. And all it required was the name of the harbor master, deputy harbor master, and a few officials. Has that been completed, or are we still working that through?
Don, I have no clue.
Okay. If you could find out, because
Yeah,
if we're to try to do dredging outside the channel, we have to tie in with what they're doing, and if we discourage them from doing it, then there's no point in getting a dredging consultant, but as I said,
So Don, you're saying they said that it sounds contradictory to something I heard before, but that could just be me. I get I hear a lot of things. So you're saying that we need to supply them with something?
it's a HIF, it's a harbor information form,
Okay.
and they sent it to me,
Just recently?
that was a month ago.
Okay.
But but then they asked me at that time if I was the point man with Gary, and I said, no, Gary is the contact person. And
You said
after-
Gary is the
after
harbor
that,
master?
I received an email telling me that I should go through my town to get the information, so that's why I'm asking, and I'm going to continue to ask that question, so if you have the information, it would be nice to.
Don, I
Yeah,
know
man.
that about you by now.
Okay. All right, and I thank you very much, and
Thank you.
Yes.
I'll let
Thanks,
you-
Don.
let you know how, when we go to Maine,
Okay.
if
We'll,
we-
we'll have a
if they
week
keep
off
us.
then?
What's that?
Are you going for the whole week or just
No,
the
no,
week?
no, just for a
Okay.
short time.
Okay, we have a dog hearing at 7:15,
That's correct.
so why don't we get started with that? We need a motion to open the hearing.
So moved.
Second, the
Okay.
hearing is, do you want it more specific? A hearing for a dog owned by Raquel Cardoza of 82 Park Avenue, East Wareham, Mass.
Okay,
Okay.
next
So
there are
moved.
two on the agenda. So we have a motion to open the hearing by Patrick, seconded by Judy. Requires a roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Me, yes. Okay, do you want to pass me the file? I usually go from here.
Oh, excuse me.
Your Honor.
Thanks. Okay, well, actually, I'm just going to read the complaint letter into the file here. I haven't sworn in anybody yet, so before anybody comes up, actually, I'm going to get this on the record, and then we'll swear in any witnesses, and then we'll go forward. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, complaint of vicious or barking dogs, Section 157, Chapter 140 of the General Laws, August 20th, 2020. I hereby make complaint hereon that the dog owned or harbored by Raquel Cardoza, 82 Park Ave, East Wareham, Mass. 02538, is dangerous or at risk by reason of aggression. On Wednesday, July 29, 2020, at approximately 19:29 hours, Wareham police officers responded to 82 Park Ave for a report of a female juvenile that had been bit by a dog. Upon arrival, the parties had moved to the area of 22 Hunter Ave. I was met by a female party who identified herself as Lindsay Peace. Lindsay stated that her daughter, Peyton Peace, had been bit by a dog belonging to the residence at 82 Park Ave. I then spoke to the female party from 82 Park Ave who identified herself as Raquel Cardoza. Both parties stated that as Lindsay walked past 82 Park Ave, the dog inside the residence snuck out of the front doorway and ran towards Lindsay's dogs. The dogs then began to fight for an unknown reason. While the dogs were fighting and the respective owners were pulling them away, Peyton got bit by one of the animals. The bite was superficial and caused a minor puncture to Peyton's left forearm. This complaint is made under the penalties of perjury. Cheryl Gorvat-Dill, Wareham Animal Control Officer. Okay, would everybody who intends to give testimony in this hearing please rise? Raise your right hand, repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to give the truth,
solemnly swear to give the truth,
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Okay, so help me God. Thank you. Okay, being duly sworn, I will ask for the animal control officer's testimony.
I was not the officer who responded to this scene. It actually was a Wareham police officer who's not present at the time, but he didn't witness the incident, so he's just going on what the parties who were there stated, so it might be better if each party speaks on behalf of what they saw.
Okay. In that instance, why don't we have, and all the parties are here?
Yes.
Why don't we have Lindsay Pease? And is your daughter here with you? No, she's 6. Oh, okay. Yes, come on up and sit over at the far mic over there if you would. These mics don't pick up so well. What you're basically hearing is my loud voice out there. So make sure you speak into it plainly.
Okay,
Bring it even closer.
even closer, is that good? Okay.
Can you spell your last name, please?
P-E-A-S-E.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so tell us what you know about what happened that day.
Well, I was walking our dog with my son and my daughter, and their dog came out and attacked us. And it bit my daughter. I absolutely saw it with my own eyes. We have a 1.5-year-old rescue, and she is petrified, and she was trying to run away. There was no fight at all involved between the two dogs. Their dog absolutely 100% bit my 6-year-old daughter.
Okay.
They weren't even out of the house yet when it happened. They were in their house. They weren't even there.
Okay. So you're saying that you and your daughter and your son were the only witnesses?
We were right there in
To
front
the
of
actual event itself?
Yes, we were right there, yes.
Okay. You have any questions for this witness?
Do we have a picture of the bite?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, as long as we get pictures.
only one. Do you want me to pass it?
Yes, if you would, please. And we'll have to keep it as part of the record.
That's fine.
I mean, it certainly backs up what you're saying, you know.
Yep. Puncture, yep. Jim? 2 canines. Yep.
Can I have your daughter's name for the record, please?
Peyton, P-A-Y-T-O-N.
Thank you.
It's in the complaint.
He saw it.
I do have a question. You said your dog had gotten bitten by the Cardoza's dog.
My daughter, not my dog.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my dog was trying to run away. She didn't have there was no interaction at all between the dogs.
Okay. When you say trying to run away, was she still on the leash?
Yeah, she was pulling away.
Do you have one of those flex leashes that goes out like from me to the wall, or?
No, she stays right next to us. I
Okay.
was afraid to let her go because she's on a leash and there's woods, so if I let her go, I'm afraid she'd get stuck in the woods.
Yep,
So I just held her.
okay. So the dog, how did it come to pass that the dog bit your daughter?
Yes, the dog came right at us and it bit her.
Okay, jumped up and,
It got her arm, yep.
okay. What did you do to strive the dog off?
They eventually came out and did get the dog.
Okay, so there was just the one bite?
Just the one bite, yes.
Okay. If you have questions?
No, I'm good.
Yeah, I do.
Okay,
I do too. Go ahead. Go ahead.
go ahead, Jim.
Were the dogs fighting?
No, there was no fighting. My dog tries to run away. She's a rescue. She's only a 1.5 years old. She's petrified of other dogs. We actually
all
joke around. We have a bunny, and we're afraid the bunny could beat up my dog. She tries to take off. She's a goofy, non-aggressive. She's never had a dog fight in her life. She runs. She's scared.
I'm just,
Yep.
I'm just reading what's here and.
Honestly, I wish
No,
she
and
would have.
that's why-
I wish she
why-
would have fought back, but she
that's
didn't
why I
protect us
had
at all.
to
Yep.
ask you again.
No, I understand. No, I wish she's not a.
Clearly in my mind what you said.
Right, no,
Thank you.
she's just not very, I wish she would have been more protective, honestly, but she's not. She's
She's too sweet.
Okay. Judy?
2 questions. You have a rescue dog. Could you describe the what
the dog,
kind of?
type? They're not really sure what she is because she is a rescue. She's about almost 70 pounds. I think, yeah, she was just in and got her shots. They think a mix of lab and mastiff and maybe boxer. They're not really sure.
And the other dog, please?
As a pit bull.
Thank you.
Any further questions for this witness?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, you can go sit back down.
Can I say one quick thing?
Yeah.
This has dramatically affected my daughter. She is traumatized by this. She is petrified. She won't go for a walk with us without a stick. She won't walk by houses that have dogs. And when she sees a dog, she has a panic attack. This has dramatically affected her. So please, I'm imploring you to take some action so this doesn't happen to another child because it has changed her in a very bad way.
Let me ask you this, actually, while you're still here. Were you approached by the Cardozas to discuss the incident afterwards, to talk about any compensation for your daughter's medical treatment?
No, I was not. What happened after my daughter was bit, I was trying to get her home because she was very upset. She was crying. She was hysterical. And Raquel followed us all the way home. That's why I had to call the police because she wouldn't leave us alone despite me asking her to please stop following us. So she harassed me the whole way home. And I'm pretty surprised because she is a mother and does have children, and she didn't understand that I needed to get my hurt, scared daughter home. That is the only contact we had, and I did have to call the police to get her to stop harassing us.
When you say harassed, what do you mean by
She
that?
wouldn't leave us alone. I asked her repeatedly to stop following me, and she told me she was coming to my house and we were going to discuss this, despite me asking repeatedly for her to leave us alone and to stop following me home.
Did she well,
She didn't stop until the police showed up.
okay, thank you.
One more question. How old is your daughter?
My daughter is 6.
6?
6, yep. She's
Thank
very
you.
little.
Okay, anything else? Okay, thank you. We have people here to, the owners of the other dog, Cardozas are here. Okay, why don't you tell us your side of the story?
Well, first of all, could you give me your name and spell your last name, please?
My name is Aubrey France, A-U-B-R-E-Y.
Hold the microphones close, please.
Yeah,
Very
they don't pick up very well. You've got
Really
to.
close, yeah.
My name is Aubrey France, A-U-B-R-E-Y, F-R-A-N-C-E.
There you go.
And?
Thaddeus France.
Thank you.
C-H-A-D-D-E-U-S-F-R-A-N-C.
Thank you.
Okay, you're the owners of the dog that's alleged to have bitten the young lady?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you tell us what you know about this?
So they were walking past our house, and our dog went outside the front door because the door is open. And our dog doesn't bite, so she went to go sniff the other dog because she does that every single time a dog walks by. And the owner of the other dog, she was pulling the dog on the leash to get away from our dog and pushing her daughter in front of the dog. And I'm pretty sure her dog bit the little girl because our dog doesn't bite. And then we got our dog and they ran off. Well, they were walking off and Raquel was following them to discuss about what happened.
I was in the backyard of my pool, so I came to the tail end of the situation with the whole screaming and whatnot. But I've seen her before. She has walked by our house with the dog, and our dog has came and met her dog in the street, and her dog did bark a few times. I have 5 kids in that house. We've had that dog for about 8 years and had never had one single problem with her biting my kids, myself, or anything. So as far as her darting out the house and attacking her daughter is like mind-blowing to me. I wasn't there. I didn't see it. She saw the whole thing. That's why I brought her with me, and this is my daughter.
Okay,
So
thank you. Patrick?
Did you just, I'm sorry, I don't know if I heard it right. Did you just say that her dog bit her daughter?
Yes, because she was pulling the leash, so the dog was like running around her, and the dog had her mouth open and went to go bite our dog.
Did you see this?
Yes, I was in the front yard.
she was in the front yard with Nala, my dog, pulling our dog away from their dog because she was right outside. So the fact that she said that no one was around.
So you saw her dog bite her daughter?
Yes,
You saw that for sure?
yes.
Okay, well, that's the testimony.
Okay.
I have a question. The owner is Cardoza. What is,
Oh, she's my fiance.
okay, thank you. So you are the owner of the dog? Okay, thank you. And your first name? Okay, that's what I thought. Thank you.
Okay. Raquel, do you have anything to add to what they've said?
No,
Were you present or home at the time?
I was.
Did you witness any of these events?
She's going to have to,
Yeah, you're going to have to kind of scooch in there.
At the initial, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is that fine? Is that better?
Yep, that's good.
thank you.
At the initial running out, I was currently at that moment cleaning my son's cut because they were all outside at the time. He had fallen, came in the house. I was cleaning his cut. My two other children came into the house at the same time, within like 10 seconds of that. As they were walking by, the door was open. Yes, my dog did go outside at that time. I'm like, shut the door. She went to close the door, but the dog had already gone out, so she ran out after. And then I went out maybe 10 seconds after that. But as far as like the initial dogs barking and growling at each other, she had my dog by the leash, holding my dog back. The other owner had her dog by the leash, and the dogs were going back and forth with one another. But as far as any attacking or anything, it happened all so fast. You know what I mean? So I didn't physically see anything with my own eyes other than her holding her animal and my daughter holding our animal by the collar.
Okay, thank you. Judy?
May I ask what kind of leash or collar or restraint you have for the dog?
We have a chain collar.
Chain collar?
Yes.
With the little hooky thingies on it?
Yes.
And that's always on the dog?
Yes.
And
It has her registration tags and everything on there.
One of those chain. It's not the hooks one that you're talking about. It's just like a.
Oh,
It's just
the-
a,
it's
it's
the
a standard
slide chain?
choker.
Yeah,
It's the slide chain?
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And that's always on the dog? And so there was attached to that collar a leash as well?
No,
For us, no, I'm sorry. I meant like the collar, not like a leash, just the collar.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any further questions for this set of witnesses?
I just have one other for,
Go ahead.
well, it would be for the other individual.
Yep.
I'd like to know what kind of collar and restraint is on the other dog.
Yep, we can find all that out.
Yep.
Okay, you can have go back to your
All right,
other
thank you.
seats for the time being. Okay, thank you. Ms. Peace, if you'll come back up, please. Selectman Whiteside has a question for you.
She has two collars. She has just a regular cloth collar that has her rabies tag and her dog license on it, and then and it also has like the I can't remember the name of it, but it's her microchip number because she's microchipped. So all that's on her collar, and then I walk her with a choker. So the chain that pulls her back if she were to try to, it's a training tool too.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Wait, whoa.
Yep.
What do you say about the fact that she says your own dog bit your
My dog did not bite her. I was standing right there. My dog, absolutely 100%, I saw with my own eyes, their dog. No one was right there but my son, my daughter, and I. They weren't right there. I saw their dog. My dog was running away. Her dog bit my daughter 100%. I have no doubt in my mind. I thought of bringing my daughter tonight to tell you that, but she's 6 and I did not want to traumatize her any more than she already is. She's not happy that I even had to come tonight. She was upset all day about just bringing this all back up again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions on the redirect here? Are we good?
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Sure.
How tall is your dog?
My dog?
Yes.
Oh, God.
You said it was Pot Mastiff?
Oh, she's teeny. She's about 70 pounds. If she jumps, she's not a full mastiff. She's got more she's stocky and small.
So she is low to the ground.
She's, if she jumps up, hold on, wait. If she jumps up, she can lift my face.
But standing.
Yeah, she can put her feet up to here. I'm not a tall person.
So when she's on 4 paws, can you show me her height?
Oh my God, I don't know, I guess her height would be right here.
And how tall is your daughter?
My daughter is, she's teeny like me. She's very small. She's
Okay.
she's only 45 pounds.
There's a reason for that. Thank you.
She's really small.
Okay. Okay, any other questions?
For the
Uh,
witness? For the witness or for the?
For the witness,
Sorry, no,
for the
no,
witness, we can excuse her. Okay, if you can go back and take your other seat. Okay, what to make of this?
So I have a few different items I'd like to bring up. Number one, we cannot be 100% sure that the dog bit her. The adult witness believes that she did. The child says she doesn't. I wasn't there, you weren't there. But there is reasonable doubt. Number two, the incident would not have happened if the Cardoza's dog was not off property. So that's on one hand. On the other hand, I've never been out there for a loose dog to that particular property. They've never been cited for a loose dog. I've never had a dog bite at that property. And I want to say how old is your dog? She's 9 years old, so it's not a young dog. So, as you can see, the quandary here is
Yep.
the situation at hand. Obviously, my concern is not to have something like this happen again, and I personally would recommend that we deem the dog at risk, because we're not 100% sure that the dog did it, but we do know the dog was off property. We do know it wouldn't have happened if the dog wasn't off property, and we definitely should take extra measures to make sure that the dog does not get off property again. The property is not fenced in, and there, as he mentioned, numerous children at the location, so if we don't take some measures, we can't guarantee that this dog is not going to get off property again, and there's a lot of children in that neighborhood and a lot of people who walk dogs down that road. So I'm trying to be proactive in the situation.
Have you what would your recommendation be then?
Well, number one, that when it's not under direct control of the people at the residence, that they have some means to prevent the dog from escaping from their property, whether it be a fence or some type of a container, so that if a child opens that door, the dog cannot leave the property accidentally like we had happen this incident. And then, of course, being walked by an adult, because we don't know if the dog, in fact, did bite the little girl. And if they go 2 years with compliance and no future incidences, then the dog would no longer be deemed dangerous.
Yeah, at
That
risk.
would be my recommendations.
I have a
Any-
question. You
yes.
used two terms. You said that deem the dog at risk or deem the dog dangerous, which,
So what we would be doing is, the dog is at risk for being dangerous, so we want to take measures, but if it goes 2 years, it's a probationary period, and if the dog goes 2 years without an incident, then it would no longer be considered a dangerous dog. But during that 2-year period, they would have to ensure that the dog does not leave the property nor be walked by a child.
and a child would be somebody under 18?
Under 18 years, yes.
Thank you.
And a leash with a strong enough intensity to prevent escape.
3 foot, 5 foot?
I have down to 4 foot, that's just under the state.
So, can I just, I'm reading the report, and there's this contradiction between testimony and what was given at the
Mike, Jim.
report.
You might.
I'm reading the report, and there's contradiction between testimony and what's in the report and what was taken at that point in time and spoken here. 2 dogs are fighting. Someone got bit. 2 opposing views on what occurred. Both dogs could possibly have done it. I'm not taking one side over the other at this point in time. I wasn't there. And one dog was not on a leash and did leave the property. It should definitely be, restrained in some sort of enclosure. The 2 dogs are fighting. And I don't know which dog is more dangerous than the other. And I'm in a quandary here.
Well, precisely, and again, this falls back on, if the dog was not off-leash, off-property, then the incident wouldn't have happened. So that's where we fall in taking safety measures to prevent that part does not happen again, which should prevent a future incident. A child did get injured, so that's
I
my
agree.
goal is to prevent that.
And can we require that without, and say that both dogs are at risk and require that they both be on leashes at all times and enclosures, and that,
Well, no, we can't do anything with with Apisa's dog, because that's not the complaint we're hearing tonight.
I don't
The
know.
complaint was not made against her dog, so,
Correct. So only one dog is being heard at this moment in time. If the Cardos felt that the other dog was a danger and they requested a dog hearing, then yes, potentially we could have the exact same hearing on the other dog. But the other dog was not off leash. And so again, if the dog had not been off leash off property and approached her, you can have a dangerous dog, you can have a dog that's going to protect you. That's actually a justified bite. If that dog was protecting its owner, then that's considered a justified bite. That's not considered dangerous.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. So all right, I'm just, the contradiction in the testimonies and what's written here, I'm just,
yeah.
Well, that's why I was leaning at the at-risk. If we don't have a problem after 2 years, then.
Well, one question, do we know how old is your daughter, sir?
She's going to be 13.
Okay, for the record, she's going to be 13. She's not a small kid. When you say under 18, on the one hand, you're talking about adult responsibility for the at-risk dog and so on and so forth. On the other hand, this is, she's not a small girl, and she looks like somebody who could handle a 9-year-old dog.
I was just going under the state statute. So
Okay.
I'm making my recommendation. It falls on what you
Yep.
folks feels the correct.
Would you be uncomfortable with an exception that the daughter could walk the dog?
My kids walk our dogs all the time.
Yeah.
I work during the day, she works in the house. When the dog has to go to the bathroom, I'm not going to be like, oh, you got to hold it. They take the dogs for the
None of that was on the record, so he needs to speak into a mic.
Yep.
I'm so
Yeah. Come on up and tell
I'm
us that,
sorry.
if you would, please.
So basically, I work all day. She works from home. We have 2 dogs. They get walked, they get fed daily by our teenage daughters. So allowing them not to walk my dogs is crazy, if you ask me, because then it puts responsibility on me and her when it's 8-hour shifts during the day. So the dogs don't have to wait till 4 or 5 o'clock to use the bathroom or get fed or any of that.
How old are the daughters, please?
We have 2 that are 13 and 1 is 16.
Thank you.
Peter,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Jim.
Do you have an enclosure in the yard for your dog?
Our deck is like fenced in kinda to the point where they can't jump over, and it does lock. The gate does lock,
How high
and
is
that's
that?
normally sometimes that's where they go and eat, and then they come back inside.
Right, but do you have an enclosure on the yard, on the
Oh,
grass?
in the yard we don't have a fence. No, we don't have a fence inside the
Okay.
yard.
Now, this situation happened when the dog went out the front door,
understand
not
that.
where the deck is. The deck is on the side, so I'd want some additional type of protection that if the dog came out the front door, there would be something to prevent it from going out.
What, some kind of small fence with a gate or something across the
Something,
front walk?
yeah.
Now you're talking about thousands of dollars for a fence. For an incident
No,
that happened. I've lived at that house for almost 5 years now, and nothing has ever happened like this before. So, for
Can
the
I ask a
first,
question.
Yep.
Who wrote the report?
An officer, Wareham officer.
Which Wareham officer?
Okay, that was. Yeah, Officer Pacheco.
Okay, he was the one that was on site and wrote the report.
Correct.
You
But
know-
he didn't witness the situation either. And I did speak to him about the situation and how at the time of the scene, there was one report and then she was changing
Who wants
the narrative of what she initially said. And he just,
Judy, can
he
we get a
wasn't there
picture?
to see the thing, so
Well,
he's
but you know,
just,
he might have a feel for, if he was here, he might have a feel for what he thinks actually happened. Because, when you question people at the scene, you tend to get an idea of what actually happened. And, Mr. Chairman, I think in the future, if we're going to have more dog hearings, the person that actually made the report needs to be here.
yeah,
And
honestly.
I'm sorry, but that's the way it's got to be.
Yeah.
Because
It-
I would get maybe a different feel from the officer and have a better idea of what's going on here.
Right, plus it puts, the animal control officer, or if we have a Department of Natural
Yeah,
Resource,
exactly.
it puts them under strain to try to advocate.
Yeah, not saying that she isn't
Something
doing a
that they
good
didn't
job,
witness.
don't get me wrong, it has
Yeah.
nothing to do with that at all. She does a
Right.
great job. She's probably the best one we've ever had, in fact. But, she, like she said, I wasn't there, I don't know.
Yep.
But, he asked the questions, and, there's, you know, I don't know about you, but when I ask people questions in a situation, I get a feel for what's actually going on.
So I did speak to Officer Pacheco directly about the situation, and he's, just like myself, was pretty much on the picket fence. And that's why I'm going with the at-risk. If he was 100% sure that this dog did this without a doubt, and I was 100% sure, we'd be having a different conversation.
Okay.
We're on the picket fence, so we're trying to be proactive, and I'm not looking for thousands of dollars of fencing, but he has a small porch when you walk out the front door, a couple of steps, even just some type of a gate right there at the bottom of the stairs, so if the dogs go out that front door accidentally, there's a gate. It wouldn't be that much of a cost, and it would prevent a problem.
Are you speaking on the side deck or
The front door,
The
when you
front of
walk
our
out.
house is just a one-step little patio thing, and there's no, I mean, I can probably try and finagle something, but, I mean, for a one strike and you're out type of deal, honestly, I think it's a little aggressive, because the dog officer that I spoke to, it wasn't, I forget his name, but you were on vacation. He called me 2 days later saying that her story's changed 3 different times, talking about, well, I think it was my dog, but
Well,
it might
that's
have been her.
hearsay, really.
Yeah, I'm just letting you know how it's going here. And for her to sit up here and talk about, oh, I know 100%.
Yeah. We know we've got two different
Yeah,
stories here, so. Judy?
You say you have 2 dogs?
Yes.
What,
My other dog is a cane corso. She's 6 months old, so.
a what?
Cane corso,
Thank you.
she's 6 months.
And that's going to be a big dog?
Yes.
Well, okay, so, is anybody else gonna testify? Is that it?
Yeah, I don't think there is for this
Make a
hearing.
motion, we close the hearing.
Second.
Oh, did you want to
Oops.
speak, ma'am? I'm sorry? You were raising your hand. Did you have testimony?
just letting you know I'm here.
Okay,
I'm here for Gracie.
Okay,
okay.
Hearing number 2.
all right.
We have a motion to close the hearing by
Second.
Close the
Patrick,
hearing, yes.
seconded by Judy. Roll call vote. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Me, yes, 500. Okay.
I move we find the dog at risk, and that, that the list of items that have been presented by the dog officer be implemented.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Does that include nobody under 18 walking the dog?
No, I don't have a problem with them walking the dog. If they're big enough and they can walk the dog, I really don't have a problem
Then
with that
can you,
one.
include?
To be
would
honest,
you
go ahead.
include that?
Actually, I just read my notes here, and I wrote, I didn't put 18, I put controlling person. So that would be a person who has the
As
ability
long
to
as they're a
control the
controlling
dog.
person, they're
Okay.
okay with me.
So not a
I don't-
young child.
I don't have
but-
any issue with that,
So
you know?
make sure that that's in
Yeah,
part of
I
it.
mean, if you have one dog and you got it in your hand and it's 9 years old, I think that girl can control it, I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure she can take care of it.
What are we going to do about, you know,
Well, I think she's right. I mean,
other
he needs to
issues.
put a little something at the bottom, so if the dog should get out, it runs into the fence and that's it. If the door gets left open, it runs into the fence. That's really not a very costly thing.
Especially now we
The way
haven't,
my front yard is, you'd have to start from the side of the house.
Look,
and go-
it's,
no,
I
we're
don't,
just looking at the front door, just
look,
around the front door.
I don't have to,
No, I
I
understand
understand
what
your
you're
problem,
saying,
but
yeah.
it's not up to me.
Okay.
I think it's a legitimate thing. You'll have to figure out how to do it,
Okay.
okay? And as far as I'm concerned,
yeah. Alan?
They could do something as simple as a safety door.
whatever.
It goes right into the same frame and everything else. So if someone leaves the front door open, the safety door is still there. They're spring loaded, they close immediately.
Anything like that that closes and stops,
They
and
lock
that
in
way, if they have
place.
doors left open, they're not going through it. I don't care how you do it, but I think it's a legitimate attention.
Okay.
That way, they can't go running out the front door because they saw a dog or whatever, you know, and I know.
Put a baby gate across it.
Yeah.
We want to be
You know-
proactive.
Yeah, baby gate would be
People leave the
fine.
door open because it's hot or it's whatever, you know, they're trying to air the house out, whatever, and it's just gonna keep the dog from running out.
Sounds
I-
good.
I will
my
second,
opinion.
I will second the motion, understanding that there is no age restriction on who can walk the dog.
Yep.
And that it does not necessarily need to be a fence, it just needs to be a form of
Restraint.
prevention.
Right.
Perfect.
And if we go 2 years without a situation,
White's clean.
okay?
Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean,
Dog's on probation.
It's all right.
Well, we haven't voted
We
yet.
haven't voted.
if something happens again, though, you got, I mean,
Yeah, I
you
highly
know what I'm
doubt it.
saying.
I
It's
do.
not gonna be good.
Yeah, I know. I've had this dog for 9 years, and
That's
this
okay.
is the first thing.
I get that, and I know.
I don't think
But
it's
just so
gonna
you
happen
know,
again.
I mean, just keep that in the back of your head, like, we gotta make sure. All right?
100%.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Any further questions or thoughts?
Yeah, you know, as far as, the enclosure for the front door, I think the cane corso will be a big dog.
Well, she's certified K9 training, so she doesn't
Well, yeah,
even.
it's just, you know, it'd be for your own protection and protection of the dogs, and, I'm sure you can come up with something, and as long as it's, acceptable to the animal control officer, that would be fine by us, and, you know, unfortunately, it's in a bad situation, and as Selectman Tropiano said, we really should have the reporting officer here at the testimony, and this happened another time when,
Yep.
short while ago where, and, I have to agree with that, and thank you. Thanks.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second.
Yes,
Anything else? All in favor?
No, it's a roll call, right?
Roll call.
roll call.
Oh, that's right. No, actually, it doesn't have to be, I don't think this has to be a roll call, but I'll do a roll call anyway. Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Me, yes, 500. You'll be getting a letter, listing the restrictions and so on and so forth. Just, make sure it doesn't happen again. And
Thank you.
Thank you
Yes.
for coming and being.
we're sorry that Mrs.
Appreciate it.
Peace's daughter,
Thank you all,
Bitten.
and I hope that you can keep your dog safe.
good luck with your daughter, ma'am.
Over at Lowe's, or Home Depot, they sell
Give me
metal
that one back.
that are all,
Yeah.
perforated.
What's the picture, right?
Put the picture in it. Yeah.
Picture in the file, so we don't get confused here.
A couple $100.
Thank you.
Start accusing dog number 2 of the sins of dog number 1.
You know,
Thank you.
Huh? No, the thing's a piece of crap. It's yours.
Yeah, I don't like it at all.
are you, dying over
It's
here?
not gonna work, Jim.
What are you wearing a sweater vest for? Oh,
Right,
my
yeah.
God.
So you wanna ask the guy,
Probably lose some weight.
All righty. Can you pass over the next file?
agree.
We have-
I did. It's right there.
Oh, okay.
The second dog hearing?
Number 2.
Number 2, round 2. Okay, I'll read the complaint into the record. Actually, let's have a roll call vote to open this hearing.
So moved.
This relates
Name-
to Carl and Denise Schultz.
Motion made.
Second.
Motion to open the hearing by Patrick, seconded by Judy. Roll call, Alan.
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Jim? Me, yes. Okay, the hearing is open. Here we go again. Commonwealth of Massachusetts, complaint of vicious or barking dog, Section 157, Chapter 140, General Laws. July 14th, 2020, I hereby make complaint hereon that the dog owned or harbored by Denise and Carl Schultz, 15 Roby Street, Wareham, Mass. 02571, is dangerous by reason of aggression. The dog, described as a female blue tick hound named Sierra, had broken through its electric fence and attacked another dog, inflicting serious injury. On July 13th, 2020, at 11 a.m., I received a phone call from Callie Woke. Am I pronouncing that correctly? Yes. Okay, thank you. She reported that while her spouse, Denise Woke, was walking their 3 dogs on leash, a large hound-type dog belonging to Mr. and Mrs. Schultz jumped its electric fence at 15 Roby Street and attacked their small beagle. She reported that their dog had serious injury to its hip and lower abdomen. I responded to 15 Roby Street and spoke with the other dog owners, Denise and Carl Schultz, who did not see the actual attack. They did confirm his dog, Sierra, had left his property and he had seen the other dog belonging to the Wokes had injury. This complaint is made under the penalties of perjury. Cheryl Gorbiat, Dill, Wareham Animal.
I think when it comes through what Steve said, you gotta go all the way down the bottom because it's a password on this one.
Wait, somebody, there's one of the press people.
Yeah, I just sent her the new link.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the other press person?
Frank.
Yeah, you got,
There's Jim.
Jim.
yeah. Chloe's still waiting on Frank.
No, Frank.
So what are we waiting for?
Mary to do something about my tooth.
The Finance Committee.
I say start the meeting and let people jump in as they get in here.
Well, we're all here. Is
We're all here.
just the press people. All right, Steve, are you ready?
Who's coughing? Rich is coughing.
Yeah, sorry.
It's okay.
Steve, are you ready?
Yeah, I'll start recording it here. I'm just working on the live.
All right, let me know when you get the feed up.
All right.
Oh, Bernie doesn't have to meet tomorrow now.
They're meeting Thursday.
Ellen, you're up. You're on
Okay, you're live.
I will.
Yeah,
Good
see ya.
evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting for May 26th to 2020. Again, we come to you in the method of Zoom. Hopefully, in 2 more weeks, we'll be back in our own room. Yay, won't that be nice? All right, so let's have a roll call, please.
I believe all 5 selectmen are present, as well as town council and the town administrator.
All right, can I have a pledge of allegiance, please? And let's let Peter lead it.
Okay. All right. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, now, announcements. We always go to Alan first, and I don't want to break tradition.
Okay. First off, I'd like to thank the Veterans Council, the Wareham Militia, the VFW, and the American Legion Post for putting on, which is very difficult to make happen, a Memorial Day event. We went to 6 different sites, and we did the best we could. And hopefully next year we'll get this back up and track and rolling properly. The other thing we have is we unfortunately have lost our oldest citizen in town, Mary Rose. She was 105 plus a half. She passed away Friday. My memories of Mary from different things I've done is always having a smile on her face and being a person that was always upbeat and happy. I'd ask for a moment of silence for Mary and her family. Thank you.
All right, is that it?
That's it.
Okay, Peter. Anything, Peter?
Nothing. Can you hear
Mary?
me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Mary?
Okay.
Nope.
Jim?
I'll cover it in liaison reports.
All right, thank you. Let's do, let's see, board comments. Alan?
As you know, we've been dealing with a FEMA issue about the maps being accepted. Conversations back and forth with FEMA today and yesterday. And out of the blue, they said that they were going to make the decision at the end of May, which they thought they told us, which of course they haven't. So the problem is if they decide to go ahead and do what they call a rescission, which means taking and going back to the previous maps, anybody coming in new, whatever, could have serious issues with FEMA insurance, of course, the hurricane season coming. I've reached out to Susan Williams-Gifford, our representative, to see what they can do. There's a bill sitting at the House, and there's also one at the Senate right now to take care of the issue of possibly the Board of Selectmen could vote on their own, take it away from town meeting for this one particular case, and vote it to get it done before the end of May. I should know in a couple of days where we're at, but I just want to give everybody a heads up that this has been going in a big circle back and forth. And unfortunately, our federal government is making life difficult. That's it.
Okay, anybody else? Mary,
Nope.
Peter?
Yeah, a couple things. First off, I'd like to thank, on behalf of actually the police department, I had a conversation with Chief Walczek today. I asked him how things were doing, and he said, people were actually, behaving themselves. They didn't have as many, issues to deal with. They were still busy, but yet, given how many people are home and how that can lead to issues and everything else, that the police department was actually pretty pleased with the overall impact town is having.
Back to Diane Gibson, 49 Barlow Ave. She's listed as Q5 in our computer.
Somebody's got a scanner on.
Somebody's got a scanner on, yeah.
Okay, check on it.
Not me.
Call back 4 times for answers.
Frank.
All right, that was me. I thought I had mute on. I'll kill it right now.
Okay, go ahead.
The other thing I wanted to say was, I know the restaurants are eager to reopen. The governor is talking about trying to get some kind of reopening in some fashion into phase 2. I was pleased that most of our restaurants this weekend continued to abide by the don't eat on the premises thing. And, it's a tough thing, but, thank you, because I think it's helping to keep people safe.
All right, Jim?
I think we're good right now.
Okay. Next up would be appointments. We have 2 appointments. Mary?
Yes. First up, we have, Jean Connaughton. I move that we approve Jean Connaughton for the Community Events Committee for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mary, seconded by Peter. All in favor, say aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
I'm sorry, roll call. Mary,
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Patrick, yes. Just so you know, from last time, what happened is that when she looked in the book, she came up with that she had served she didn't realize that she had served a 2-year term, finishing somebody else's term. So that's why she made it 2 years. It wasn't a correction. She just didn't realize that she thought they were 2-year terms when she looked in it. As well, we have, she's kind of new and she's trying to work her way through it. So,
Yep.
All right,
No
next
biggie.
is open space.
Alan got his hand up or no? Is he frozen?
Alan?
Okay.
Open space?
All right. I move that we approve Peter Gold to the Open Space Committee for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Motion made by Mary, seconded by Peter. Any discussion?
Nope.
All in favor? Mary?
Yes.
Roll call. Peter?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Patrick? Yes. All right, next.
I move that we approve Linda Scharf for a term for the Open Space Committee for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2023.
Second.
Motion made by Mary, seconded by Alan. Roll call. Mary?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Jim?
Yes.
Patrick? Yes. All right, so next week you're gonna see, what's her name's reappointment to, the, Old Colony. We got an okay from, a request from Old Colony and from COA, and they're gonna define it a little better for us. Okay, update on COVID. That's next on the list. Mr. Town Administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm unmuted. Yeah, we've had a couple positive cases internally with the town and such, which is proving that if anybody thinks this is over, it certainly is not. It's sort of changing our strategy for how we're opening. So I think one of the big things people need to know is that for June 1st is when the real estate taxes and personal property taxes are due. and we'll send the information out, but there's different ways to pay currently. You can pay online with a checking or savings account, which is no cost. You can pay with a credit or debit card, which has a fee associated with it. So usually if you have a debit or credit, you have a checking account. So I'd recommend use your checking account or savings account. You can pay at the drop box in front of town hall. So these are all manners in which you pay via check and such. If you can only pay via cash, contact the treasurer collector's office. We'll try and set up appointments. But people need to understand that it will not be open. And we provide these other methodologies, which are mostly, unless you're using credit and debit, no cost. We think that's much easier for folks. We understand there's some that still save with the coffee can and such, and there's no problem. There's no shame in that. It's not everybody is as flush, especially nowadays. But there's you've done a great job for the citizens by providing an extension. But they will be due June 1, and those are the ways they're set up. So that's the big update.
All right, thank you. I'll wait for you. You have some other things you're going to do. You want to talk about now, or do you want to wait till your report?
Which I don't know. Which
you mentioned a few things earlier on the line when we talked earlier that you wanted to bring up.
Yeah, I can go over now. One of the things is a lot of people are trying to help the businesses right now, and it's kudos to you. But what I would request is, instead of sending them to the department heads, please send them to me. We have some people sending things to department heads that they're not comfortable with, or they just get a little concerned about, asking about businesses or how a business would do something to expand or do something like that. And it really should not go directly to the department heads. We know the setup on it and the way it's established. So I think I appreciate everybody's zeal, and you're doing an amazing job trying to help folks out in their businesses. But let's keep it within the proper context, and I appreciate that.
Okay, all right. So moving on, Peter, I want you to take us. Remember last week we talked about the articles that we would be taking up at town meeting. I know the list has been established. Can you take us through that, and we'll vote on whatever we can. And the stuff that's waiting, these are mostly money, so there won't be too many we can vote on.
Yeah. Well, I'll go through the list. On the annual town meeting warrant, Article 2, recurring business. Just by way of explanation, that's, the ability of the town to apply for grants and to use funds in certain ways and so on and so forth. There's some other things in there, but it's routine. Article 3, compensation of certain officials. That's, the town clerk, the moderator, the election workers, things like that. Article 4 is the fiscal year 2021 revolving funds. That's all the revolving funds we have. Article 6, fiscal year 2021 capital plan. Article 7, obviously the big one, fiscal year 2021 budget. Article 8, emergency medical services budget. Article 9, Upper Cape Regional Technical School budget. Article 10, Water Pollution Control Facility Enterprise Fund. Article 14, to amend the zoning bylaw, and that's if the state legislation doesn't get through. We won't have to take it up if it does necessarily, if we just vote it ourselves. Updates to FEMA floodplains. This is for the maps portion only of that article. It would not be, we would not take up the zoning change on June 15th. Article 15, community preservation, fiscal year 2021 fund reserves. Article 16, harbor services permits receipts reserved for appropriation account. That's for the Department of Natural Resources. So that was it on the annual town meeting. That's what we came up with.
Okay.
Does anybody have any questions about the annual, or is there something they think was omitted?
No, the CPA stuff is all in this year coming up, right? It's all in the special.
They had the CPA reserves in this one.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
So if there's no issues with that, I'll move on to the next one, which is the special town meeting within the annual town meeting. Article 1 is budget transfers. Obviously, that's a moving target. Article 2, fund the parking program and onset. Article 3, spring 2020 capital. Article 4, transfer of available funds. Article 5, PEG access receipts to Wareham Community Television. That's so the community TV station can get paid out of what we get from the cable companies. Article 8, Westfield Girls Softball Field upgrades. As a side note, I noticed that youth sports are eligible to start in phase 2 according to
Yes.
current plan. So that's actually something that could come into play really quick. Article 9, Harbor Services permits receipts, reserved for appropriation account. That's another expenditure they want to make in this fiscal year. Natural resources. Article 10, water pollution control funding request. That's all the presentation they gave us and so forth over the winter. Article 11, transfer of unused balances from previous town meeting articles. Article 14, solid waste and recycling revolving account. Article 15, union contracts, if there's any. Article 16, home rule petition to permit issuance of liquor license for retail sale of alcohol. And this is just to get something before the legislature for that. So those are the ones that when the moderator, town council, chairman of the finance committee and I met, did the parking lot meeting last week. Those were the ones that we came up with. So that's my motion to formally request the moderator at town meeting to take up these articles based upon their financial importance to the town and to deal with those articles at that meeting.
Okay, motion made by Peter. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Alan. Any discussion?
On special town meeting, Article 16, I'd like to take that up separate. And do we have any numbers for the capital plans? And also for the spring 2020 capital?
That's all from the sewer plant. The only thing being done is by the sewer department.
All of it is?
Yeah, we've canceled all town capital items.
Well, thank you on that.
What's Article 6?
16 on special
16.
town meeting, home rule petition.
Yeah.
That's for the mall place.
Yeah, that's for Kendrick Drive, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Kendrick Road, the industrial park.
Right. I'd like to just vote on that one separate, if you would.
Well, I mean, all we're doing is putting them on the warrant right now. We're going to obviously cancel all the rest of the articles at this point, and we're just creating what we're going to vote on at town meeting.
I understand that.
So what do you want to say, Jim? Why don't you just say what you want to say?
Well, I'm not in favor of putting that on the town meeting warrant. There could be discussion related to that, and it doesn't have to do directly with the town budgetary process at this point in time, or town services.
Okay, Alan, could you withdraw your second, please?
So made.
Peter, withdraw.
Yeah, I'll withdraw my motion.
All right, redo the motion, please, and leave that one out. We'll vote on that one separately.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to include all of the articles I attempted to make in my first attempt, except for Article 16.
Okay, motion made by Peter, seconded by
Alan.
Alan. Okay, any more discussion?
And
Roll
Mr.
call.
Chairman,
Go
the
ahead.
only thing I would say is that I'll reach out to them. Well, we've got the gifts of the land from the Volpe estate and the other trust. It's
Yeah.
just it's very generous of them, obviously. These are more kind of swampy areas, so it may stay around. But just the idea is that they might not be there as they're trying to close out their estates and some of these trusts and such.
Okay,
So
all right, Mary?
Yes.
Peter,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Patrick, yes. Okay. All right, Peter, now make the motion for Article 6.
I move that we take up Article 16, home rule petition to permit issuance of liquor license for retail sale of alcohol, 11 Kendrick Road.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Seconded by Alan. Okay, discussion. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, like I said, but I don't believe this is pertinent to the operation of the town, and it could be some debate on the floor. So I don't know if it's something we want to take up at this upcoming town meeting or special town meeting in June. Maybe more appropriate would be something in August when we get things a little more settled.
All right. Anybody else?
Well, I think in the middle of a pandemic, we have an obligation to try to help businesses, and this helps businesses, so I intend to vote for it.
Okay,
Aye.
Alan. Hold on, Alan.
We got that notice from Claire, I believe, today or yesterday, about restricting the articles to those that are critical. So that kind of falls in Jim's area. But at the same time, this particular type of request is it's out of what we call the standard box per se, and it's going to take quite a while to go through. So I'm not sure if it makes any difference between now or as long as the moderator doesn't have an issue with it.
Okay, Mary?
I'm voting in favor of it. I think in these times we need to do whatever we can to help people out, especially businesses.
Okay. Any other discussion? All right, roll call. Mary?
Yes.
Peter?
Yes.
Alan?
Yes.
Jim?
No.
Patrick? Yes. All right, so it's 4-1-0. All right, what do we got next now? Okay, so that's the articles for now.
Well,
I
we've got
don't, there's nothing, none of these have any money attached to them yet, right? Is that correct?
No, I mean, the motions haven't been written yet, so that's.
Okay.
That's
All right, so-
part of it, but none of the articles themselves specify, as I'm certain.
All right, so a lot of this is going to be just.
Except, I have to correct myself. I think the Harbor Services receipts might, I mean, just thinking back on the warrant, which I don't have in front of me. But I suppose I should let Derek speak to that anyway.
We already voted on the revolving funds and all that, kind of stuff earlier. But let me I just want everybody at home or anybody who might be watching to understand that means that these will be the only articles taken up, and all the rest of the articles will dissolve the warrant at the end when this is done. And then we will either reschedule a town meeting for sometime in August, if possible. If not, then we'll carry them over probably till October. And that's just the way it's going to be. So everybody who is interested in one of those other articles has to bear with us and understand that they're just not going to happen right now. And we're going to try to get through this town meeting as quick as possible. Go ahead, Alan, Peter.
Yeah, there was something the moderator wanted me to get out there, and hopefully the media picks this up as well. At the June 15th town meeting, which is going to be held in the gym at the high school to encourage social distancing, she is requiring those who choose to attend in the gym to wear a mask. There are arrangements that will be made for those who, for whatever reason, medical reasons, cannot wear a mask, to do like the same thing we do with the overflow crowd when the auditorium gets full, to have them in a different room, put it up on a screen, and then they can participate that way with the deputy moderator or somebody in there with them. But that's, she wanted us to get that out, and it is her meeting, so she gets to make that call. So it is what it is.
So just so everybody also knows is that the following Tuesday, not that first Tuesday, because town meeting hypothetically could have gone 2 days. The following Tuesday will be the election, and they're preparing for it now. I know they're putting together some ways to keep sanitation there and masks available and all that kind of stuff. It's being worked on right now. Derek, why don't you fill us in a little bit?
Sorry, Patrick, I was looking at something else.
We're about the when the election comes, how we plan on making that safe for everybody. We're planning on
Yeah.
having masks and.
Yeah, I think it'd be good to invite the town clerk to give what she's going to do to it. But yeah, I mean, obviously we'll have masks for those that don't. I would prefer you bring your own. I almost don't want to mention it, or everybody's going to think they're getting a free mask. We only have so many, but yeah. So they'll be taking proper precautions.
Yeah, and just so you know, it also came up today, and I happened to see it because Alan sent it to us all. That masks, when masks are required in these events, you can be asked to leave if you show up without one. We have the authority to make sure that you can't attend if you don't have a mask. It's in the it was in that legislation, right, Alan? Is that correct?
No, what it is if you have a business and the business can require a mask in order to come in, they can ask you not to come in if they can't. In town hall, same thing, but if it's a town meeting because of the rights of the individual, the way they left it today was if someone insists on coming in with no mask on, we can't refuse them.
Well, that's a problem.
I understand, but that's the way it is right now.
Well, why would they? Go ahead, Rich. Go ahead, Rich. Rich has got
Chapter 39, Section 15 gives the moderator control of the room and the rules of procedure. Chapter 39, Section 17 gives the moderator the power to expel any person who disobeys her order at town meeting, including the authority to incarcerate them for the duration of the meeting. I've only seen that done twice. In fact, I did it once as a moderator myself. The arrangement would be that everyone would have their right to participate in town meeting, but that right would be afforded to persons who don't wear masks in the same manner that we afford people the right to participate when we have an overflow crowd. As Selectman Titlebaum indicated, there would be an overflow room, there would be a broadcast television, a microphone, a deputy moderator. So it's my opinion that Chapter 39, Section 15 and 17 give the moderator the power to enforce this rule to guarantee order, and that no one need feel that their rights are being abused because they will have the ability to attend town meeting with the moderator, to speak, make motions, to vote in the overflow room.
Well, that's nice. Only we were talking about the election.
Oh, well, I'm sorry. In the election, well, I'll have to work with Madam Clerk on that one.
Okay.
I think if someone won't wear a mask, you'll be hard put to keep them from voting because that's their fundamental right. It may turn out that we end up having a special maskless lane where people are sent if they aren't willing to wear a mask. And that is probably the way that we will end up handling it.
Okay, well, it has to be worked out because that could be a sticking point because you could scare away people who are willing to go and wear a mask and go and vote if they think that people are going to be there without them and they have some affinity to being scared of it. So that would be unfair to people that would want to vote with masks.
Everyone will have their right to vote. No one's rights will be abused. The general rule will be wear a mask. If for whatever reason a voter is not willing to wear a mask, they'll be sent off into a special place where they can vote maskless.
Okay. All right.
Not
so
encouraged, but
as long as we can work it out and have some protection for all, I don't care. It's okay with me. Other than that, I'd say we got to put it off down the road further. But if that's the case, that's great because I'd like to see us get it over sooner than later.
Everyone will have their rights.
Go ahead, Jim. Yeah, go ahead, Jim.
I did read Selectman Slavin's report from the Lieutenant Governor's meeting, And
Yeah.
it did specifically state that you could not refuse people entrance into town meeting if they didn't want to wear a mask. And I guess the easiest way to accommodate that would put them in another room where they're totally distanced from other people, as long as they have access to the meeting. Maybe Selectman Slavin could clarify that as we move forward.
Go ahead, Alan.
With the option of putting them in a separate room, it doesn't take away their right to participate, etc. The discussion was strictly if we had a town meeting, any town, and they refused to let people come into the town meeting. By offering the secondary location, it doesn't take away any of their rights or their abilities to participate and vote. So the answer would be what we're proposing now would be acceptable.
All right, so we'll have to hopefully everybody will just come, wear their mask, and we won't have any issues. And that's what I'm hoping for, and that's what I'm hoping people will do. There's no time to make a stand on wearing a mask and not wearing a mask when it comes to protecting your fellow neighbors and your fellow voters. All right.
Mr. Chairman, we will, we'll have HR will work with the town clerk and the others to inform of the questions they can and can't ask about masks, et cetera.
Okay, this is coming very fast, you know. The 15th is you know, around the corner now.
Yeah.
The 1st is Monday, so it's coming very quickly. So we don't have much time to get this kind of wrapped up, and I know that's going to put a lot of burden on you, Derek, to be ready. So you know, not so much for us. I mean, all we have to do is vote, but you're going to have to really buckle down and kind of. Not that you don't have enough to do right now.
We've got some great folks working on it, so we're lucky to have them. So
All right, awesome. Okay, next is any other town business not reasonably anticipated in the last 48 hours. Do we have any 48-hour business?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. Town administrators report, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few weeks ago, myself and the finance director, John Foster, had a conference call with S&P Global. The reason being, we're going out for the next phase, if you will, of borrowing for the new elementary school. You know, obviously not an ideal time, and we had some concerns given what we're seeing for the economy and so forth and so on. I'm happy to announce that they affirmed our long-term rating of AA plus or stable, which is just under AAA, and the long-term rating for the bonds as well for AA plus stable. So that's really excellent. Once we're putting the bonds out to bid. So once we get that information back, I think we had estimated rates back when we were first doing this at 3.75%. So clearly they'll be better than that. It's very exciting. It's exciting, just so people understand, it's exciting because it saves the taxpayers money. This is a debt exclusion. It's just a straight in and out. So nothing's really, if you will, the town dollars are going to anything else. So I think what this really means to me is when we were talking about this, when it was being presented to the taxpayers, you're trying to give them the real and the toughest look at what their costs were going to be. I think that's a big change from the leadership, from the selectmen, the school committee, and everybody involved in this, was trying to tell them what it could be in the worst case scenario versus, you know, trying to sell them something, if you will, by giving them a song and dance of a lesser amount. So kudos that it's worked out. There were some interesting factors in here, which they said the upside scenario, we could raise the rating if the town improves and maintains reserves at higher levels while improving the funding ratio for pension OPEB liabilities, or some of the economic metrics were to improve. So they thought we had a strong economy, which is good. Something that I'll throw in there was the strong management. We view the town's management as strong with good financial policies and practices under FMA methodology, indicating financial practices exist in most areas, that the town governance officials might not formalize monitor all of them on a regular basis, which is fine. And frankly, they gave us kudos for being tough, believe it or not, saying that while they see that there's going to be some issues coming forward, they believe that we could take the actions to make sure we make the cuts that need to be made in order to keep the town going. So it's a strong indicator, and it's a really a big thank you to the leadership, especially our department heads, the superintendent, and all our employees that are working so hard for the town. So I really thank them for their performance, because this is saving the residents a lot of money overall. And we'll get those numbers finalized when the bids come in.
Anything else?
Oh, that's the main part of it.
Well, I'd like to say congratulations to you and your team. You've worked hard at this. I mean, from where we were to where we've come, under your leadership and under the leadership of your people, is amazing. And I am very proud of you and your group. And I can't say enough. I can't say enough about it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it. And on behalf of them, I thank you as well. They're fantastic.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Derek.
No, they did note that one of it is that we are looking to that we're the financial practices of how we're budgeting, and they also put in there that reducing our local aid estimates by 10% and working towards freezing or cuts to salaries and such was one of the indicators of why they kept it at a AA+ rating. So I know some people think that we're blowing a little bit of smoke on there, but it really means something, and we have to go through it. So it's tough. We're thanking all the employees. They're doing an amazing job, and we're going to ask them to take some pain like a lot of people are feeling. So.
Okay. Anybody else?
Are you still on the town administrator's report, Derek, or did you finish your?
If you need it to be over, it can be over.
No, I just wanted to say thank you, and Doreen and yourself and whoever else worked on it did a heck of a job on that COVID-19 employee document. Pretty comprehensive. I think it's laid out well, and thanks a lot.
Thank you. Yeah, Doreen worked very hard on that. So that's a benefit of having an HR director. She's fantastic, and thank you. That's you. I know I should have brought that up, so I appreciate you bringing it up.
You're welcome.
Thank
you. Okay. Anybody else have anything to say? Okay. All right. So we'll move on, and we have liaison reports. Let's start with Alan.
Okay. Finance Committee met last week. The meeting basically weekly right now to get ready for town meeting. They're discussing articles as they go through. There's really been no issues at all. ZBA is going to meet for the first time tomorrow. They're going to use Dropbox, so they'll be able to look at different maps, etc., and more documents, which has always been difficult for them. We'll see how it goes. If people want to get updates as far as what's really happening with the state and how they're moving along, I suggest they go to the state website with the COVID-19, or they go to the MMA website with the same thing. Things are progressing on a daily basis. Things are changing. So what we say today might be different tomorrow. Just a couple of things. I sent everybody a list of what happened today. If Peter wants to put that up on Facebook, if Derek's happy with it, whatever we want to do is fine. The interesting thing was the summer camps. There'll be basically guidelines for that coming this week, because people have kids they're going to have to send somewhere for summer camp. And as of right now, the camp's not open, but they going to have new rules. Graduation, whether they're virtual or parades, need to work with the local Board of Health officials. The issue we have is our Board of Health is really overworked, and I'm not sure how this is going to work for them long term. After July 18th, the state's going to allow more liberal rules as far as graduation events. People have to stay, family groups will be able to stay together, but they can stay 6 feet apart for a group. Social distancing for all parts of the event. Also, what's really important for the school is education openings for the fall. The announcement for the process, et cetera, will be actually done by the end of this month. So they can go ahead and figure what they're going to do. Chapter 70 funding, I already know, is going to be in question as well. Patrick's already mentioned the sport teams can start in phase 2. The DCR is still limiting groups to no larger than 10. Interestingly, they discussed fireworks in phase 3, which would be well after July 4th, though. Remember, each phase is at least 3 weeks minimum. It's not a guarantee. I already talked about the going to businesses, etc. And as far as the restaurants and stuff, they are working on streamlining process for having to be able to serve outside. There's a bill in the House and Senate right now, and we're expecting that to go through fairly quickly as well. The other piece, of course, is town meeting. There is legislation in the Senate, which was passed. There's also legislation in the House that's moving through. The governor will sign it immediately, which may modify how we do town meeting. And as I mentioned before, with the FEMA piece, there's a possibility that the Board of Selectmen will be able to go and actually vote on this, not have to go to town meeting. And again, just take either one of those websites and take a look, because they're bringing stuff more forward. They're opening up a little more than we're used to. And I think that's it for me today.
Okay, Jim?
Sorry, Patrick, one more thing. The boss wants me to make an announcement. Community preservation grants for fall town meeting are due June 9th. But the problem I see is I don't know how we're going to get that done with that kind of time frame. We're going to have to work on this to modify it somehow.
Yeah,
All right.
that's their policy. I don't think it's the selectmen's policy.
No, we don't have an application policy for
That's
them.
why I'm bringing it up.
And since when does the cat tell you to do announcements?
No, it's the real boss. I have to sleep at night in the house once in a while.
Okay, Jim, you're up.
Last week, they had the multi-hazard mitigation plan, and Selectman Slavin was there. It was remote. Myself and a town planner, and it's being done by the Woods Hole group. And I've seen a couple of them. It's good. I'm starting to catch it. If I see it once more, I'll probably get a hold of it pretty well. And then with all the things that they talk about is, what's the plan? I mean, what's the order of most importance down? So that was interesting. Again, it was just mentioned about Dropbox. Richard Swenson did bring up a drawing during the planning board meeting from the Dropbox and projected it onto the whiteboard so that everybody who was watching could see the same thing. It's a good tool. I hope the boards move towards utilizing it more, even now. And then once we do go back into regular meetings, so that there'll be a more informative sense of meetings for especially like planning, zoning, Concom, or anything where you have to have detail and numbers. You can just project it right up using that. So also met with, on the transfer station, met with Dave Menard and Mike Scipione from Wesson and Sampson last week, had some discussion, met down at Rochester transfer station. And he had some information. We're going to have another meeting tentatively scheduled for next Tuesday. That will be with the town administrator, Mike Scipione, Dave Menard, and myself. It's going to be a working meeting. So that's moving along nicely. Tomorrow night is the CMW remote meeting. And I guess that's about it here. Thank you.
All right, Peter.
Nope, nothing.
Mary.
Nope, nothing.
All right, so I have been involved in, over the last couple of weeks, a bunch of meetings, negotiations with the various odd school unions relevant to trying to balance their budget and trying to get them to accept some terms to help with that, as well as also our unions, I believe Derek is talking to. It turned out to not be very successful. And so the school is going to go ahead and do what they have to do to make it all work. I'll tell you, it's not an easy thing going on right now, not for anybody, not for the school department, not for our town. It's going to be very difficult to get through this issue with the cut in revenues. They're thinking at least 10% of the Chapter 70 money will be cut. That's a considerable amount of money that the school relies on. And it's going to be very difficult. It's going to probably increase the class sizes at the school, and some other things are going to be involved. So there is going to be a school committee meeting on June 18th. On June 18th, and it will be broadcast on live on Facebook when they do it, because right now they cannot broadcast live over the internet because there's some equipment that they have to have installed in order to make that happen. Apparently the other equipment failed or had some issue, and so it can't happen. But they'll be able to do it on Facebook, which, at least, unless they get the equipment installed by then we don't know. All things are off. But anyway, so people might want to listen to what goes on at that meeting. It's going to be very interesting. And that's all I have to say. Does anybody else have anything they want to say today?
Just a quick question to our town administrator on when does he foresee us being able to have in-person live meetings?
Yeah, that's a tough one. It's as much as I miss you, Jim. I think it could be. We're at the very least a couple weeks away. I would say on that. We're still trying to keep. We're getting more and more people working, but like I said, we've seen a couple things last week that really concern me, and it hits home that it's still out there, and while the numbers are decreasing, so
No, not a problem. We had something tentatively. We're going to have a meeting for the Affordable Housing Trust on the 9th. So I was just doing my planning ahead. And,
okay.
So I'll plan to do it remotely. I already spoke with Steve Ruiz about it anyhow, but I figured had you here now and I'd run it by you.
Yeah. I'm sorry I don't have a direct date on you for it, but
that's all right. Thank you, though.
You're welcome.
All right, Alan, you were next.
Just a couple things on Jim's piece with Derek and stuff. At the meeting today with the state, they're talking phase 3 before town hall will be available to the public at the earliest. So that's a good 5-6 weeks away, just so you know, at least. And it also goes back to the local board of health, and Derek is the one that actually want to do it. But that's where the guidelines are. The other piece is that in the last couple of days, I've had 2 other businesses notify me. Peter probably got the notification too. The consignment store on Main Street, they're closing and not going to reopen. And Mahoney's, which is in Buzzards Bay, which is a restaurant, which is fairly new and just put a whole bunch of money into the place, has already told me that they are not going to reopen. And I'm afraid there's more businesses like that here. So I reached out again, asking MMA and also the state itself that we need to have some kind of funding, for these small businesses, or else they're not going to survive. And Main Streets in all these towns are going to be pretty deserted if we don't do something. So if we can, and for local people, if you can buy local, do local, try and help them out as best as you can. It's a really tough time. It's going to be hard to survive this. Thank you.
Well, just for me, I'm a little disappointed that you can go into Walmart, or you can go into Target, or you can go into any of the big stores, masked up, go in, do your thing, leave, and it doesn't seem to be a problem for anybody. But the smaller businesses, you can't go into at all. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's totally illogical. I totally disagree with it. I don't see any reason why you can't go into those stores masked up like everybody else, and they could limit the number of people that are in the store at any one time. But yet, for some reason or another, the small business again is taking it on the chin, and the big businesses right now are making record profits, just so you know. But anyway, all right, so that's all I have to say today. Does anybody else have anything else they want to say?
Nope.
Okay,
Oh,
then we only
Motion
have
to
one thing.
adjourn?
Huh? We're only
Motion
going to
to
have one
adjourn.
thing left to do because we have no other bills. Apparently, Rich doesn't need to be paid. Could I have a motion, please?
Already made it.
All right, I
Second.
didn't hear you. I'm sorry. Motion made by Alan, seconded by
Second.
Peter. All in favor? I know, I'm sorry. Roll call. Peter,
Yes.
Alan,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Mary.
Yes.
All right, everybody. Have a great week.
Take care, folks.
Good night.
How'd you vote, Patrick?
Be
I
safe.
voted you. Doesn't matter what I did. It was 4-0, so it doesn't matter.
No.
Control officer. Okay.
Can I ask a question
Uh,
before we start?
Yes.
That is not a copy of the complaint that was delivered to me.
Well, this is the copy of the complaint that was given to,
I'm okay with it, but it isn't what I was delivered when I was invited to attend.
I'm looking at the certified correspondence that was sent to you by our office, and it says, please find attached a complaint letter from the Wareham Animal Control Officer. If you have a different letter, you can certainly hand it up to us.
I'll do that. I'm okay with what that says.
No, I just want to make sure that we're operating off of the correct complaint here. Yeah, look at it, Rich.
Can I approach?
Yeah, well,
You want to see first? What
Looks identical to me. I only wrote one, but,
maybe I misheard. I'm sorry.
yep, they're identical. I only
Because,
wrote one
you know why?
complaint.
Because he didn't say that word, and that's.
Yeah,
why.
it's right there.
which
He
word?
didn't read that word.
Oh, okay. Nope, the complaints are the same.
I was confused because there was a word that you didn't use.
What did I miss?
Let's say jumped,
It's electric fence, jumped, it's electric fence.
because I was gonna comment on that later. I apologize.
Oh, okay.
I'm just trying to make sure that I'm on the right page.
Yep,
You-
all right, that's fine.
Peter, you want to swear everybody in
Yeah, I gotta do that next.
before we start taking
Yep,
testimony?
let's see. Will everybody who intends to testify in this matter, please stand up? Raise your right hand.
My God, half the place.
Repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Okay, thank you. You're now sworn. Okay, Officer Gorviat-Dill, why don't you amplify upon what we see in your letter here if you can.
I am the responding officer.
Yep.
So that certainly will
That's
help
good
That
in
helps.
this situation with
That's
this
good
one.
news.
Especially with this one. Okay, I'll read you my report. On July 13th at 11 a.m., I, Wareham Animal Control Officer Gorvet Dill, spoke with dog owner Callie.
Whoa.
Okay, I had a name in, Robin Wolk, is it? Callie Robin Wolk. Okay, that's where I got confused. By phone. She reported that while her spouse Denise Lynn Wolk was walking their 3 dogs on leash A large dog, hound dog, jumped its electric fence at 15 Roby Street and attacked their small beagle. She reported that the dog had injury to its hip and lower abdomen. She also reported that the dog was in surgery at Marion Animal Hospital for its injuries. To the full extent of damage is not known at this time. I responded to 15 Roby Street and spoke with the other dog owner, Carl Schultz, who was outside at the time of the incident, but did not see the actual attack. He confirmed his dog was licensed, up to date on its shots, had left his property, and had seen that the other dog was injured. He was given a 10-day quarantine for this Mass General Law, Chapter 129, blah, blah, blah. His wife also informed, he and his wife was also informed that a dog hearing would be requested. When the Wareham Selectmen resumed the process, I handed the dog owner a written request of safety restrictions to be placed immediately on the dog and kept in place until the dog hearing was possible. Mr. Schultz and his wife showed great concern for the other dog's condition and very cooperative on keeping their own dog contained.
Okay. Can we hear from Ms. Woke?
Got to speak right into the microphone.
Yep.
Could you spell your name for me, please?
Sure. My name is Denise, Denise, Wolk, W-O-L-K.
Thank you.
Pull it a little closer, please. Just pull the mic to you. There you go. It's fine? Thank you.
Yeah, these mics are very picky, so you've got to kind of get up close to them. Why don't you tell us in a narrative fashion what happened?
On the morning of July 13th, I was walking my 3 dogs. I have 2 beagles and a small Yorkshire Terrier, a little pit teacup terrier. My dog Gracie, who was the subject of the attack, is about 26 pounds. She's quite small. My other beagle, Abby, is a little bigger. She's about 30 pounds. Both of my beagles are rescue dogs. And Dickens, my Yorkie, was inherited when my father passed away. We walk on leashes, all 3 dogs, every time, and had walked down Shore Road and made our way to the past the Schultz's house. Their property abuts Shore Road, and then the back of their property is the beach parking lot at Swift's Neck. So as we went past their property, I noticed Mr. Schultz was out mowing the lawn. They always have a beautiful yard. And Sierra was in the yard running around. She often would run up and down the fence and bark. You know, dogs bark at other dogs. That's a territorial and normal thing. And he was mowing the lawn at the time. You know, and we just kept going on into the parking lot. We got about halfway through the parking lot. We were going to make the rounds, and Sierra came from out of nowhere. I didn't even see where she came from. I'm assuming she came through the back of their property, but I can't tell you for sure. And she, without provocation, attacked Gracie, the smaller beagle, rolled her over onto her back, and was biting at and jumping on her her abdomen and did pretty significant damage. I have photographs.
Yes.
Sets
could.
of photographs of the injuries
Yep.
that were taken by the veterinarian, if you want to.
They're
There's a
quite
set of
graphic,
each.
just to.
Yeah, they're kind of nasty. It did a lot of damage. It didn't, at the time it happened, it didn't appear as bad as it ended up being, but there was a lot of internal damage done. They had to remove a lot of tissue during surgery and place drains and all that. You'll see in the photographs, it was pretty nasty. So this all happened in seconds. I mean, it was less than a minute. You know, I had all 3 of my dogs. I took the, I had retractable leashes for my dogs, but I'd locked them, and I took the handle of one of the leashes and was beating Sierra on the head to get her to stop. And she came off of Gracie. She started, I believe she was turning to go after one of my other dogs, but again, it all happened so quickly. I thank God it wasn't the Yorkie, because he wouldn't have survived it. But Mr. Schultz, I believe it was Mr. Schultz, immediately, well, he came running and grabbed her. They could hear the ruckus, the dog crying, me yelling, all of that. He immediately came out and grabbed Sierra and pulled her away and took her away. And it was all over in less than a minute. I mean, it was horrifying. Again, this was about 10:30 in the morning, 10 o'clock, 10:30-ish. I called my wife, Callie. We live nearby on Howard Street, just a few blocks away. She came and got the dog and was not very nice to you, I'm sorry. She was very upset. And we immediately dropped the other two dogs off, and I took Gracie off to the animal hospital.
Okay.
The Schultzes have been nothing but nice. I mean, they paid for all of the vet bills without a question, immediately gave us a check. We stood out, and I know they love their dog as much as I love my dogs. I have no doubt about that. It just forever changed poor Gracie's life. She's a sweet dog. She's making a full recovery. But she's terrified of big dogs now. She never used to be afraid of other dogs. She's cowers and hides under the table sometimes, all that. I'm getting them out again, back out to kind of a normal routine. We're walking, we're doing things, but we mostly avoid their place. Mm-hmm. We did go by one other time a few weeks ago, and Sierra saw her and ran out again. I can't say she actually left the property. She ran into the driveway before Mr. Schultz was able to grab her. But it just scared me so badly that I did mention it to the dog officer, because it scares me. I'm afraid of Sierra. I'm afraid that she can't be contained by the electric fence.
Yep.
These are all the same.
So that's...
Okay. Questions for this witness? Patrick?
I have a question. Has there been any other problems at all with the dogs, the Schultz dogs?
No, this would be the first incident.
First one, okay. That's really the most important thing. Okay, I'm good other than that. All right, thank you.
Okay, any other questions for this witness? Okay, you can take a seat back there. Would the Schultzes like to respond to the testimony offered so far and tell us their version of events to the extent that they have any relevant information? And if you'll just identify yourselves for the record, please.
Sure. Sorry. Okay. Carl Schultz, that's CarlSchulz.
Okay.
Denise, Denise Schultz, Schulz.
Okay. Thank you. So tell us what you know about this, if you would, please.
Sure. And it's going to agree in most cases with Ms. Walk's testimony. On the 13th, I was mowing the lawn, and Sierra was in the yard. At that time, we generally let Sierra loose in the yard. Ms. Walks and her three dogs walked by. We exchanged pleasantries, as we had many times in the past. Shortly after that, I heard the dogs barking. I immediately stopped mowing the lawn and ran into the parking lot behind my house. I saw Ms. Walk and her three dogs toward the middle of the parking lot. And at that time, I saw Sierra back on the path going back to our house. Clearly, Ms. Walk was upset. I told her I would get Sierra and be right back. I took Sierra into the house, and I told Denise that something was going on, and I went back. Miss Wolk was still there with her 3 dogs. I could see that she was upset. I could see that the beagle was hurt. I offered to get bandages, towels, whatever to help care for the dog, and she said it was okay. And I think at that time she had already called her wife. So, but then she said Gracie, or Sierra had hurt Gracie, and I could see that Gracie was hurt. And I immediately said, look, if Sarah did this, we're going to take care of the vet bills. We'll do whatever it takes to make sure Gracie is better. And at that time, I didn't hear anything about attack, so I just didn't hear that. Shortly after that, the second Miss Wolk arrived. We again told the second Mrs. Wolk, look, we're going to take care of the vet bills. She was very upset. It was tense, but it all worked out okay. They left with their dogs. Shortly after that, Officer Gorbiat Dill, I hope I got that right, arrived. We took brief statements. We discussed what happened. Most importantly, she said, the fact that Sierra left the yard, that was the most important consideration. And we discussed that. She told us what we needed to do in anticipation of this hearing.
Okay.
We have since taken several steps in anticipation, just because we felt we needed to take be responsible citizens. So, as I said, we paid all of Gracie's vet bills related to the incident. To keep Sierra safe, we no longer put her out loose in the yard. We worked with the electric fence company and have increased the electric fence to the maximum.
Stopper.
It's called a stopper. It's what they call a stopper setting. But we just did this, okay? We just wanted to be safe. We have engaged a dog trainer, Darren Boucher, who's here tonight, and will speak to you, to work with us. Sierra has had training in the past, but he's working with us again to make sure that we're taking steps to make sure nothing happens again. And finally, Sierra went out the back of our property. We had a path that goes to the beach, and I have pictures. So prior to the incident, there was an opening. We have a wooden fence, and then, of course, the electric fence. The wooden fence was open. Sierra went through the opening. So I have one picture of the opening. We have closed that opening off, so at least that opening is no longer the way it was. So we've closed that off so that she can't just race out through the back. And then the rest, that's the incident. The rest is sort of.
She also, Denise had stated to me that Gracie is a rescue, and that when Gracie gets afraid, she goes into the mode where she lays down and rolls over. It's a submissive roll that dogs do when they're afraid.
And that's what I was going to say. This is now my opinion. I don't believe that characterizing the incident as an attack is warranted. I don't think Sierra is a vicious dog. I'm not questioning that this happened and Gracie got hurt. The medical report describes lacerations on Gracie's abdomen, but it does not say bites. So I don't believe that Sierra bit the dog. And as we said, I think Gracie rolled over in a defensive, submissive posture, and Sierra pawed at her, and definitely hurt her. But there weren't any puncture wounds, so I don't think there was a bite. And the other thing is, neither of the other 2 dogs were hurt or got drawn into this incident. And as I said, when I got back there, Sierra had already left the incident, and it was over very quickly. So it wasn't an ongoing, vicious, that's my opinion. I'm offering my opinion. And the only thing, this is why I raised the question before, because the complaint that we got said she jumped, and it really wasn't anything to jump over.
That's figuratively, because
Okay.
obviously the electric fence is under the ground, so
Right.
figuratively meaning.
As long as that,
she-
as long as that's all that meant, that's fine. She didn't leap over. I've never seen her leap over anything.
No, it's figuratively
Good, thank
that
you.
it's under the ground.
That's why I asked to clarify that. Sierra's an 8-year-old dog. She's, and she's also a rescue. Okay, and then last, 3 of our neighbors are here to speak to the temperament of Sierra and the behavior that's we've exhibited in the past. And Darren Boucher, as I said, who's the dog trainer, is also willing and here to speak to the to her temperament.
She talked about.
Oh, and the last thing, Ms. Wolk did walk by on the 28th, and as I talked to the officer, we had just gotten home from a camping trip. I was unloading the van. Sierra had been secured in the van. We were unloading the van, moving to the house. Sierra was off lead, but on my property. Ms. Wolk and her dogs came up onto that property, or at least onto that edge of the property, you know, on the street side. Sierra ran over to where they were. She barked. She ran along the fence, which is
She stayed within the
but she
5
did
feet of
stay
the electric fence.
in the property within the electric fence and did not leave the fence.
Pictures of that, too.
Okay. Any questions for these witnesses?
And we have pictures of that.
Alan?
I don't have a question, but I did get an email before I got here tonight from one of the residents. And I talked to Rich. I'd like to read it into the record. There's no way to, question the person who's sending it, but
No, but it, can still come in, as long as it has a name attached to it.
Judy Caparicio, who's a neighbor,
Okay.
sent me an email. My neighbors Denise and Carl Schultz are coming before the BOS tonight because of a complaint against their dog. I have lived across the street from them for 6 years, and there's never been a problem with the dog. The woman who claims the dog bit her dog has no proof the dog was bitten, as noted in the veterinarian report.
We'll disregard that because she has no
I'm just-
knowledge of
I'm
that
just-
one way or the other.
I
I do
understand,
have
but
the vet report, and it doesn't talk about bites.
Well,
I'm just reading what it is.
damage was done, and I think you're kind of going down the wrong path here, but go ahead,
Okay, Let me
Alan.
just read what it is. You can pull out whatever you want. In the bed, never used to bite. My friend's dog got out of the electric fence, so the animal control officer, well, I'm not going to read that because they're questioning the animal control officer, and that's not what we're going to do here.
I'm not.
Basically, they said that she walks 3 dogs at a time on those retractable leashes, and they constantly go under the neighbor's fence to bark and continue to do this even after the incident. They live on the beach, and they walk by her house numerous of times during the day and walk them on the beach. And that's really it. I just want to put that in the record.
Okay.
I do have letters from the neighbors.
Well, they're going to speak.
They're going to speak.
That's fine. Yeah, if you'll hand them up. Any questions to the witnesses? Judy?
What kind of a dog is it?
It's a blue tick coonhound.
And how long have you had her?
We've had her
7
since...
years, since
Well,
2013.
she's 7, so we've had
No,
her
she's
8. So we've had 7 years.
And she's a rescue from Tennessee or someplace like that?
West Virginia, but
Yeah,
yes.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Alan?
Is she trained to hunt?
Absolutely not. She's gun shy. She will not
I
hunt.
just want to know. Thank you.
When the fireworks go off, she's like in the closet.
Yeah, I know how that happens.
Okay, anything else for these witnesses at this time? Okay, you're excused. Why don't we hear from the trainer next?
Thank you.
Darren Boucher. I'm the owner and operator of All Dog Training.
Could you spell your last name, please, sir?
Boucher.
Thank you.
So all I can speak to, I wasn't there for the incident, obviously, so all I can speak to is the precautions and the actions and the measures that we've been taking thus far. I've been working with the Schultz for a couple weeks now. We've made good strides, good progression. Some of the some of the precautions that we've made is the addition of a gentle leader. I've been working with this tool for over 9 years now. It goes over the dog's snout and totally isolates the dog's head. So Sierra can't lunge or do anything of the sort with her head. And as far as control, it's far superior than any other device that I've ever used, as far as choke collars are concerned, or pinch collars, or anything else. So we're working on steps to make Sierra a more controllable dog, and she has like defined let's just say a role in her household, and it's to be protective, like a lot of dogs identify themselves with, like that role of I'm going to guard my house and I'm going to alert. And so she has this howl that she normally does that starts to identify or warn people that somebody's near. So if she deems something as a threat, she escalates a little bit. She'll start to, the howl will become more intense and more alert. So we're working on those things to try to tamper down some of that role that she's got. And part of that's going to be working a little bit on socialization and diminishing and taking away that role of hers. And so the work that we're going to be working on ahead is going to be more on discipline and obedience and making sure that that this doesn't happen again. And so part of how I train, a lot of it's with positive reinforcement, but we will be putting in measures or attempting to test Sierra in such a way that we can see if we can diminish some of her intensity going forward. So that's all I can really speak to you about as far as Sierra's concerned, because again, this is my second week working with her. She seems like a great dog. I have had no issues whatsoever on my end that gives me the impression that she's a dangerous or vicious dog in any way, shape, or form. Like I said, she'll bark when FedEx comes and whatnot, which is pretty much 99% of all my clients do. As far as the electric fence is concerned, I did recommend that they restrict some of the boundaries of the fence, because it goes along the fence line of the property, and you could angle it and cut it in and bring it in more, and also up the intensity so that it doesn't happen again. So I think between all those measures, I don't think this will happen again, but I can't speak 100%.
Okay, thank you. Questions for this witness?
No.
Anybody? Okay. Thank you very much. Would you add something, Jim?
So as long as the batteries are charged and it's functioning, it works great.
Yes.
And if not, then it doesn't.
If not, you're going off the hope and a prayer that your dog is going to respond to you, and that's part of what we're trying to accomplish here with Sierra, is working on her recall command and her control.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we had some people who wanted to give statements about the dog. Why don't you come up, please?
My name is Joe Paolino, and I live across the street from the Schultzes. And I wrote a statement that I was going to send in, but I thought it best if I came and just read it. So, to whom it may concern, I have lived at 14 Roby Street since May of 2014 and have known the Schultzes since we moved in. For this entire time period, the Schultzes have been very good neighbors and are considered a plus to the entire neighborhood. They have always been very responsible with their dog, making sure she is contained on their property or leased. I have never seen their dog be aggressive toward anyone, including my 4 grandchildren, who have been around the dog numerous times when they visit. Upon hearing about this issue with their dog, I felt compelled to write this statement on their behalf as someone who has daily contact with them.
Okay. Thank you very much. Okay, we have another witness.
Hi, my name is Leslie Mason. I did send a letter. I think you might have all read it. I'll just kind of briefly state what I stated in the letter. First of all, I've owned property in Wareham for 55 years and have had dogs my whole life. I met the Schultzes in April of 2015. I also own an American English Coonhound, and we walk by their house. And that's how I got to know them. And Sierra and, I think there was a picture, Sierra and my dog Shannon are very good friends. We go onto their property on a daily basis. I treat Sierra. I always carry treats because my dog does not like cats. So in order to have a pleasant walk. And Sierra has never shown any food aggression. She is very well-mannered. They'll play and talk and do whatever dogs do. And then when I leave, Sierra has always respected that electric fence and never has followed us. When I start down the street, when I get to the parking lot at Swiss Neck, the neighbors can all hear because my dog starts howling in Sierra house because they want to see each other. So I just want to say that I have never seen any form of aggression. I've seen Sierra interact with the Schultz's 2-year-old grandson and never had any concerns. Sierra has come to my house and in my yard, and I've never had any concerns with my family or my dog. So I think this was an isolated incident, in my opinion. Obviously, the first time, and I just wanted to state that, I would trust Sierra with my family and my dog.
Okay, thank you for your testimony. And we had one more?
I provided you with the letter, but I would like to read it also.
If you'll state your name just for the record.
Yeah. My name is Judy Hazlett. It's Hazlett. In my letter said, I did not witness the dog attack on the 13th, but I'd like to be a character witness for Carl and Denise Schultz and their dog Sierra. I'm a neighbor of the Schultzes and find them to be very responsible dog owners. They often walk by my home with Sierra, and I walk by their home with my dog. My dog is visually impaired, and I am very careful where I walk with her and what dogs I let her meet and greet. Sierra has always been calm, obedient, and well-behaved. The Schultzes always have control of her. If we stop to chat, Sierra will sit quietly until it's time to move on. She has never shown signs of aggression towards me or my dog. And then I ended it by saying, hopefully you'll consider this information when you determine a safety plan for her. I do believe this was an isolated incident. As I said, I did not witness it, but I am very careful with my dog because of her disability, and I have no concerns whatsoever having her around Sierra.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Okay, is there anybody else who wishes to testify, or have we gone through everybody? Okay?
I move we close the hearing.
I've got a few things to say.
Well, you can say it to us, she can say it to us, right? The
Right.
recommendations and
The
stuff?
recommendations can come after the close of the
Yeah, yeah.
hearing.
Well, I'd like to speak about the actual
Oh, okay.
situation
All
at
right, if you
hand
wanna
before we make a
testify, that's
decision.
different.
Okay, well, you would have after we,
Okay.
Can I say one last thing?
well, yeah, you can come back up, please.
Well, she's gonna testify more, so if
Yeah.
she's gonna testify more, we should.
Yeah.
So, for the record, I'm Denise Wolk. I have no doubt in my mind that Sierra is a wonderful dog, and I know the Schultzes are nice people, and they've taken good care of her. I mean, it's hard to have a rescue dog. There's no doubt that in the attack, and it was an attack, and it was unprovoked, that Gracie was bitten many times. You can see the stitches, you can see the sutures. There were bites that they didn't have to stitch up on her tail, on the inside of her thighs. It was pretty bad. I don't know what happened. Everybody has a break once in a while. It could be that when Mr. Schultz was mowing the lawn, a rock got thrown and scared the dog. I don't know. I don't know why it happened. I hope to God it never happens again, because I think she's a wonderful dog. I don't mean any ill will to her or them or anything else. All I would like to see is to make sure that there's no way it could happen again. I'm so glad that you've done, you're doing the obedience training and so on. I have to say, I have no confidence in electric fences. I know that they're supposed to be good, but this happened once, it could happen again. I worry about that. I am afraid to walk by their house. Maybe it's because she's been aggressive with Gracie the one time, and there's a scent thing, I'm not sure. But the couple of times we've walked by, including the time when she got out after, she didn't leave the driveway. She did not leave their property. I will be clear about that, and I was shaken, but she did go onto the driveway. I don't believe the electric fence extends to that, but maybe I'm wrong.
Okay, one at
Okay.
yeah,
At
one at
any
a time.
rate, I was so afraid that she would get out again. I'm sort of afraid to walk my dogs, but they're never off leash. And one reason why we walk on the edge of that grass is on the other side of the road. If you've ever walked down Shore Road, all of the vegetation on that side is covered in poison ivy. And I have more than once had my dogs rub up against it. They don't get from it, but I end up with poison ivy. So we've avoided that side. But again, I wish no ill will. I hope that I hope the best for everyone, and I mean, and they've been wonderful. They paid every bill without a question. It's really affected Gracie's life. It's affected our life, and she didn't roll over in
we
fear.
understand.
She got knocked over. I was right there and saw it happen. It just all happened so quickly, and so I just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah.
And I thank you, and I thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
So I had additional testimony is what I was trying to say.
Okay, fine.
Okay. So I have a couple of other things that I would like to point out. Number one, the location of the property is an extremely highly trafficked area. It's on the corner. I get calls out to this specific area probably 3 or 4 times a week for dogs in that area, dogs on the beach. So this is an area where we have a lot of people and a lot of dogs, and I think that's very important under the circumstances. When I had gone out there the first time, I had asked them not to allow the dog to be loose in the electric fence. I had actually given them a letter because we were delayed on the hearings with COVID, asking that when the dog was not under their direct control, that it was either secured in a building, vehicle, or secure locked enclosure. And on August 28, 12:30, after this attack, and I've been working with dogs for 40 years to date myself, and I've been doing this for a long time in this town, and I've seen a lot of attacks, and that was an attack, that wasn't a scratch. On August 28th, that dog was running around that yard again. This could have happened again. I have zero faith in that electric fence. I have had numerous bites in this town where dogs have jumped electric fences. It happens a lot. And I have no faith in that electric fence, and that's why I'd asked them not to do it prior to this hearing, and they did it again. And I think it's extremely important that we do not allow them to have an electric fence to contain the dog. I'm extremely uncomfortable with that situation. As you can see, this attack was unprovoked. It was a dog on a leash, and it was an extremely serious attack. If they hadn't spent the money they spent, this dog would be dead. And if a small child was walking that dog, we might be looking at more than just an injured dog. So I just want that testimony entered before we make any decisions.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, motion to close the hearing.
Second.
Wait, can I say something?
Yeah, you can come back. You can address what was just said.
If you look at the pictures, we don't have just the electric fence. There is another fence, and Sierra has never attempted to go over or under it. The electric fence is in addition to our other fence.
It's
Are
a
you
post
talking about
and
the
rail
split
fence.
rail fence?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah, we've seen that, thank you.
It's posted rail, and it doesn't completely surround the yard. It's open where the driveway is.
it's a post and rail fence, I mean.
Yeah.
Can go right through it.
Just one more clarification on the post and rail fence. If you look at the picture on the beach side, it's dense shrubbery behind, except for the open area where the path is. It's dense shrubbery. And I understand everything. I'm just saying it's not just the electric fence, the post and rail fence. There is also dense shrubbery to prevent her from going into the parking lot. We're going to work with you guys. We want her to be safe.
Right.
But I just don't think she's a vicious dog.
Okay, thank you.
And we're going to try and make everybody
I
safe.
know you are. I can tell that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to close the hearing, please.
Second.
Okay, motion to close the hearing by Patrick, seconded by Judy. Roll call, Alan?
Yes.
Patrick?
Yes.
Judy?
Yes.
Jim? Me, yes. Okay, 500.
Recommendations?
Okay.
So I'm not looking to euthanize this dog because I do feel the dog owners legitimately want to make the situation work. They are making every effort to try and improve the situation, and I'm taking all of that in consideration by not asking for euthanasia on the dog. He never had a problem in the past. However, I am not comfortable with the post and rail and the electric fence at all. I would recommend that the dog be deemed dangerous, not at risk. We had a dog that was nearly killed, but this dog needs to be deemed dangerous, and I would suggest that we have a secure enclosure as recommended at the time of the incident so that it prevents the dog's escape.
Okay.
And if the dog, if the dog is walked off of the owner's property by a controlling person with a strong 4-foot lead. And I am familiar with the gentle leader, and I am comfortable with the use of a gentle leader instead of a muzzle, because I was going to recommend a muzzle, and I am comfortable with the gentle leader in conjunction with the leash.
Okay.
No, you can't say anything more, sir. That's
I was going to ask a question, that's all.
unfortunately.
Yeah, we've got the hearing closed. Questions, thoughts?
Okay, so, you want me to go?
Yeah.
Okay. So, this is a serious attack. I mean, whether it was by puncture or by claws or whatever, it's a pretty serious attack. The dog was seriously injured, I can see that. And I know the Schultz seem like terrific people, they seem like responsible people, and I really have, as well as you, are wonderful people. And unfortunately, what we have to think about is, and it's from my point of view, is that we have to think about how we're going to make sure this doesn't happen again. That's really that's sort of the end game. Whatever it is, it can't happen again. So how are we going to do that? Well, it's already gone through the fence, the electric fence. And I don't have any faith in a post and rail fence at all. So I think the enclosure is perfectly legitimate. If they want to have the dog out and run, then they should just fence off the yard, whatever they're going to do. Or have a pen set up for them, or whatever it is. I think that's perfectly legitimate to ask for, okay? As far as the lead, I'll take your word for that's fine and whatever. And I don't think they're not going to pay attention, because I'll tell you, these people seem like wonderful people to me. They really do. And I know they care. They came up with the money right away. They didn't come in here and say, well, our dog didn't do anything. No, I didn't hear any of that. I heard them really taking responsibility and saying, look, okay, whatever, and I just heard them a minute ago, whatever you want us to do, we're going to work with you, we're going to help you, and I think that that's perfectly fair. Unfortunately, in order to do this, it requires us to deem the dog dangerous, because that's the only thing that gives us the authority to then go ahead and put the stipulation in place.
Yeah.
So, in keeping with that, I would move that we declare the dog dangerous and that we implement the list of requirements by the dog officer.
I'll second it, but I would like to.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's fine, yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. It's clear to me that both sets of owners of the dogs are extremely responsible owners. I've been a dog owner my entire life so far. I wouldn't have an electric fence ever again, because I had one when I had a yellow golden retriever who just thought that was the most fun thing in the whole world, was to go boom over the fence. My knowledge of blue ticks is that, you know, it's inbred. They are in fact hunting dogs. Whether they have been trained for that or not, they are. Having owned beagles, you know, all I can say is they're probably the funniest dogs in the whole world. And almost all of my dogs have been rescue dogs. So I'm very much concerned that you guys don't get a fair shake. I think you all deserve a fair shake. It's clear that the Schultzes are responsible human beings. It's clear that the Mrs. Woke is willing to work with them. Unfortunately, it happened once, and I can't look at the pictures, to be honest with you. And if it happened again on the August 28th date, then I think that the recommendations of the animal control officer really need to be followed.
Okay, Alan?
I'm really not happy with the idea of classifying the dog as dangerous, but at the same time, the electric fence, from my experience having huskies, malamutes, and yellow labs, is they actually like to go to the fence and get zapped a little bit because I think it feels good, and they continue walking through. I would be more happy, and I hate to cause a extra expense or anything else, but they need a proper fence. For certain dogs, the electric fence is a toy.
First, through you, Attorney Bone. Can you hear me now, Bob?
Hey, it's your turn instead of mine.
Turn it on. I was being Alan. Can we require certain conditions if the dog's deemed at risk, or does it have to be deemed as dangerous in order to make requirements to the owners to make conditions?
With your permission, Mr. Chairman, through you to Selectman Muniz. If the owner is willing to go along with the conditions that you want to put on, then I think the category that you assign to the dog doesn't really matter. And so my advice would be, suggest your conditions, see if the gentleman and the lady will agree to them, and if they will, you're done.
I had a place down to Swifts Beach for many years, and I've seen the Wokes, the Schultzes, is it? Walking the dogs, and I have to agree with Selectman Whiteside, the temperament of a hound. I've gone coon hunting when I was younger, and they're hounds. It's a condition of them. Doesn't make them good or bad. It's just it's something innate. I'd like to be consistent. I think the last hearing we just did was did we say at risk, correct?
Yes.
And unfortunately, it was a nasty tear, and that's what these dogs do. When they go after something, that's what they do. They bite them and they tear the heads, shake the heads. And so I kind of agree with Selectman Slavin as far as the deeming at risk. If we can get the conditions that there'd be an enclosure, an agreement that an enclosure be put in place and the dog be in the enclosure unless it's on leash, and something similar. So I guess we would have to either have Selectman Tropiano withdraw his motion or ask a motion to amend if we wanted to do that. I don't know.
Well, let's follow up. Patrick?
I consider this one to be much more profound than the one prior. The other one prior to this was sort of, even though it was an individual, the wound was considerably smaller. And so, I mean, that's a pretty dangerous thing what just happened to that dog. I mean,
Am I allowed to say anything?
Yeah, you will be. Yeah. We're debating your recommendation here, so.
so I'm happy with the motion that I made.
I was just going to quote the state law, and under the Massachusetts State Law, Chapter 140, Section 157, and the Wareham bylaw, I'm asking that the dog be deemed dangerous because of, for infliction of serious injury to another dog unprovoked. It's very clearly written in the state law. This would not qualify for at risk because of the nature of the injury.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think part of what we're looking at here is, we're looking at the owners, and we know they're nice people, we know they've been responsible since the attack, and of course, then you look at dangerous and you say, well, they're good people, so how can we find the dog dangerous? But it's the conduct of the dog that we're assessing here, and the steps that are taken afterwards by the owners, of course, can mitigate future incidents. But I,
Yeah.
I think I agree with Selectman Tropiano on this one, but.
I have a question for you. Does the terminology of dangerous dog have a time limit as the at-risk did?
It does not, and I don't think that we should put a time limit on this. I have seen dogs go 2 or 3 years without an incident and then nearly rip a child's arm off. So in all honesty, when we see what this dog is capable of and the extent of injuries on the dog that it was inflicted, I would not want to take the risk that if we happen to go 2 years without a situation, oh, it's fine, we don't have to be careful anymore. I mean, I know that the dog's older and maybe in 2 years he wouldn't be capable, but I personally would not want to take that risk. And the state law for unprovoked is there's question. There's no question. The dog did inflict serious injury to an unprovoked attack.
Thank you.
Okay, anything further?
I just, inconsistency, not so much with this, this evening, but for another time when a dog was seriously hurt, I think it was a year ago or so, pretty much unprovoked, but I understand what you're saying, and I'm glad you clarified that with the statute. So I was just a little confused on what we had done previous.
Well, that was the Crossman dog, and it was a tiny scratch to the dog's ear, and there was question whether or not the dogs were...
What kind of dogs was it?
It was the Crossman's dog. It was Jennifer Crossman, Sandra Crossman's dog on Great Neck Road, 198 Great Neck Road. And what happened is both dogs were off leash, and the injury to the other dog was actually a slight scratch. So there was minor injury, and it was questioned whether or not the dog, in fact, actually did that. So we did at risk with that dog. So if there's question whether...
What was the dog that attacked it? Do you remember?
It was an Australian Shepherd.
It was an Australian Shepherd that weighed 40 pounds. This dog's considerably larger.
No, I thought it was a German, some kind of a German pointing dog, hunting dog.
At risk. I wasn't at that
No,
hearing,
you weren't
sir.
at that hearing. I think it was
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Mr.
I do remember that
So-
hearing. It was 2 dogs. I wasn't there. I didn't
Yeah.
see the
So,
situation.
that's-
I'm just going under the state statute.
Not a problem. I just, like I said, I like to be consistent. It's difficult to do, and
Yeah,
that's all. Thank you.
it is. Anything further?
There's no opportunity for us to ask a question.
Not at this point, no.
Hearing's closed. No. Hearing's closed.
Okay, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So it's 3-2-0. You will receive the decision in the mail. If you choose to appeal it, you do have the right to appeal in the Wareham District Court. My advice would be to put up a decent run outside for the dog. If you want the dog to have access to the entire yard, I really, you need to improve that fencing. An open fence it doesn't stop an ant. So it's certainly not going to stop your dog if the dog is motivated to go out and perform some mischief again. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Thank you for your understanding. These things aren't a lot of fun. They can get emotional. and I appreciate that everybody kept their cool. That concludes the hearing. Next up on the agenda, we have constables. Yep, that fell out.
Actually, we have board comments, Peter.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
Back it up.
Okay,
Forgot about that.
why don't we wait a minute till everybody leaves?
Yeah.
Okay, good to go. Joe was before us about 3 or 4 weeks ago, who lives over near, I think it's Atlantic Marine and stuff. We have
John
that
Cardoza?
state park, park and drive, park and whatever.
Oh, he was complaining about the backup
Backup
noises
stuff.
early in the morning.
I got a hold of people who run the programs. They do it all over the state. They use their park and rides wherever possible for training. They've got a contract they've signed with individual companies, and there's a basic rule, but they're there at certain times to be able to do this, and I couldn't get any kind of leverage or anything at all about changing things. I did make a complaint that there was excessive noise at certain times. Whether it changes or not, I haven't heard back from Joe yet, so we'll see what happens. But it's a lease they have with different companies, and it's a business deal.
Yeah.
And it's their property, not ours.
Right. But what time was this happening? I thought it was like early in the morning.
Well, they normally, they tend to train early because people start to use the parking area.
But if there's a noise issue with the backup alarms and they're just training, then,
I
you know, they have to do it within certain time periods.
I made the complaint, Jim, but
No, I'm just saying.
they have a lot of trucking places, I know, up in Wilmington, off
That's
93.
okay, I'm just,
I know, it's fine, it's just, it's where we're at. It's not easy these days. The other thing is the Cannabis Control Commission, they keep changing or losing employees. Our contact, David Lakeman, is leaving as of this Friday. There's 2 new people in place. They're short a couple of commissioners. I contacted them yesterday because we have an article in the planning board about changing the zoning for marijuana for the testing lab that's going to be across from the Deacon School. I'm just going to read what the actual zoning change is, so it's on the record, because it isn't finalized yet, but this is what's coming down. The draft would allow for the consideration of an impassable barrier, such as a highway, to be considered when measuring the distance between a school and marijuana establishment. Municipalities still have the option to reduce the buffer distance if they so choose. So just to let everybody know, this is coming, and that's actually falls into what we're doing.
Yep.
So we don't have to worry about something happening and getting, regulated out. And these regulations will probably come in late October. And what else we got? I think that's it for that right now.
Okay, thank you. Patrick, any comments?
No, I'll wait. Thank you.
Judy?
I'll wait.
Jim?
comments? No, I left my list home, so. I had some written down, and I'm just gonna remember that.
You need a list, you need to have a list to remind you what list to bring with you.
Well, it's, I wrote them down, and I want to be,
I did.
so, no.
Okay. Well, the reason I was late was because I always print up one of these dog hearing procedure things that I made for myself, so I,
My favorite
cross all the
part
i's and dot,
My favorite
dot
part
all
is
the
way you
t's,
looked
and
at
that's
it.
kind of how it went when I was leaving the house, trying to get this thing printed. I was crossing i's and dotting t's. Okay, I don't have any comments. We did the dog hearings, and now we can get to the appointments. the
Okay, we have
constables.
3 constable appointments before us. The paperwork is in order. They understand the new rules. Everything is copacetic. So I move that Robert E. Short of 2 Foundry Circle, West Wareham, Mass. 02576, be appointed as a constable for the town of Wareham for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, motion to appoint by Judy, seconded by Patrick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500.
The next one is a Gregory Kamen. Again, his paperwork is all in order. So I move that we appoint Gregory S. Kamen of 6 Wilbur's Point Drive, Fairhaven, Mass. 02719, to be a constable for the town of Wareham for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, motion to appoint by Judy, seconded by Jim. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Opposed, Patrick?
Yeah.
Seconded by Patrick, correction.
Doesn't matter.
500. Next.
Karen A. Blair also has completed all of the paperwork. So I move that Karen A. Blair of 11 Robin Hood Avenue, Post Office Box 292, Middleborough, Mass. 02346, be appointed as a constable for the town of Wareham for a term to expire no later than June 30th, 2021.
Second.
Okay, motion to appoint by Judy, seconded by Patrick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Don't have any licenses or permits. Going down, we have an update from the Police Building Study Committee from the chairman of that committee, who's been waiting patiently through these dog hearings. Good evening again.
Good evening. Given that you still have some things to do, I'm not going to go into a real update. I think we'll do that a little later on, but I do have something that I need to discuss. Just as a background, probably more for the general public, that when you have a scope of a project, such as a feasibility project where you're building a public building, the most important thing is to figure out what it is you're looking for. So initially, what the committee has been doing is interviewing anybody that might have a vested interest in being a participant in a public safety complex. And in that regard, we've talked to, naturally, the police department is very interested, EMS. We talked to the Department of Natural Resources. We've talked to the Plymouth County Sheriff's Department. We're having some discussions about regional dispatching. And we had heard after, well, I'll get to that, I guess. So when you put all of that together, then you have to decide what kind of property are you looking for? And naturally, it has to meet all the requirements of every entity that's involved in the project and what they have to meet. For example, with EMS, you have to be within an 8-minute response time. And so there's a lot of things that come into play. Then you start looking at properties. So we went through the list of all the properties that were town-owned, because obviously the first thing you want to do is not to have to spend money on any property and buying it outright. You want to see if there's anything available from the town. So we went through the whole property list, and given all of the entities that have expressed interest, the 2 properties that are leading the pack right now are the property on Minot Forest Ave that the town owns, which is approximately, I think it's 24.8 acres, and the Deacon School property. Now, both of them have pluses and minuses to them, but our stopping point right now is, I think the question that we need to ask before we research further these properties, does the town, and this is why the committee wanted me to really come before you tonight, does the town have any other things that they are planning for either of those properties? And the one thing that we did learn was that the sewer department does have an interest in the Minot Ave property. And so we had Russ Kleekamp come and talk with us, and they have expressed some interest in putting their infiltration beds on that property, and they would need approximately 10 acres. And they would be leaching out approximately 440,000 gallons per day. That particular property, when we looked at it 15 years ago, does have some considerations with some artifacts, and we did do an archaeological dig, and we have that. But there's some concern from the committee that putting infiltration open sewer beds on the same property with the police station might not be very acceptable. So they want you to talk about that and think about that, because we don't want to waste our time looking at that if that is something that's going to move forward and that it's going to happen. According to Mr. Kleekamp, they're not ready to do anything probably for 3 years. And they would have to do a study, but looking at the map that he showed us of where they would be looking at, I think it's going to end up being a problem because the artifacts, and I'm not good with direction, but when we looked at the property 15 years ago, the only place we could place the building was in the southeast corner. That's the area that doesn't have any artifacts, and it's not near any wetlands. So that was an optimal place to place the facility at that time. So if we went back to looking at placing a facility there and doing something in that corner, would there be room even for filter beds, even if the town decided that that's where they have to go? I mean, but right now the committee is very uncomfortable with putting filter beds of open sewerage in an area where you would have the police department and EMS. So it's something that we needed to bring before you and get an answer to before we spin our wheels for nothing. The other piece is the Deacon School, and of course it's open for another year, but it's a great property. It has plenty of space, but it does have some issues with, in our discussion with the Wareham Fire District, they may be interested if we did something up there in a campus-style setting, but it would be too far out for EMS. They would not have the response time to get to the Jefferson Shore area, Onset Ave area. So we've got some concerns for both properties, but our biggest concern is, are they available? You know, what does the town intend to use them for? Because if you have another use for them, obviously we'll have to go looking for private property or something else. So that's the reason I'm here tonight, to talk with you about that, because we need to move forward. We'd like to move forward. There is a bill before the legislature. We hope it will come out of committee in January. If you do a public safety complex, there's a potential for 90% reimbursement. If you do a standalone facility, it's probably 75%. So we know that there's a time frame here that we would like to move to, but right now, those two questions, the committee has some concerns about. We don't want to say, yes, we like this property or we like that property, and then find out that the town has other uses for them. So the committee wanted me to come and talk to you about that and see where your thinking is on those two properties.
I mean, for myself, I don't think there's been any hard and fast discussion one way or another about that. You know, certainly Derek would have some say.
Derek would have a majority of the say, I would say, at this point.
Yeah, well, I think if we went around the table, we all wrote down on a piece of paper what we'd want to use the Deacon School property for, we might get a few different answers. And,
Sure you would.
And, you know, you talk about the infiltration beds in the police and fire department. What about the people at Brandy Hill there and in the apartments also, who are already there? And, you know, this thing is like growing. I thought when we first started, personally, it was police station study committee, then public safety. We have two separate districts. I understand the EMS, and you know, I've had discussions with the town administrator and others. I'd like to see the EMS associated with the fire districts or a fire district, and that's just my opinion at this point in time. So it's great to have plans where you want to bring all these components in, but I have, I guess, a different vision than some people on the structure of municipal services as related to public safety in the town. Thanks.
Alan?
I think the easiest thing to do is ask basically the sewer commissioners to send someone to talk to us, because we've heard about this for a while. We obviously have heard about, you know, the project that's, you know, go back to the canal through the Maritime Academy, which I don't think is going to happen because of time of the road construction, et cetera. I know that when we go back 4 or 5 years ago, when we first started talking about a police public safety complex with the fire department, the property across from Rosebrook, the Wareham Fire and Water District put a deposit. I think it was a $1.2 million property, had a deposit because they had to go back and forth with the South Coast because they weren't going through a time frame. They could have lost it, and they were going to have, you know, the fire department here in that property and the police department here with a central parking area. And there was some objections from the Rosebrook community itself over there. And that's all been, percolating for a long time. But what also can happen, I believe, is that I know that Fire Chief Goodwin has mentioned at least 2 or 3 times to me and to other people, they'd be more than happy to provide a housing or an area for a Wareham, ambulance out of their facility, because it would make sense to them. They would not own it at this point because we weren't going to give anything up, but they would provide an actual spot for them to be there. And since they're building a brand-new fire station exactly in that area, I don't think the EMS will be a problem. But the real problem is, where do we put the police, and do we get a regional dispatch? Because all these things coming down from the state for these different regulations are all based on some kind of regionalization, some kind of combination of things. I don't think we're going to qualify if we have a standalone police station. At least that's from the MMA stuff that I have. But the bottom line is, I think we have the ability to modify or adjust to make this happen, because it's really needed at the end of the day. The police department, I don't care what anyone says, is one of the most unsafe places I go to. I don't like going in there because it's not comfortable. It's not safe. It's not safe for the policemen. It's not safe for the prisoners, etc. It was built in '71 for a minimum amount of dollars, and we got what we paid for. So we need to come up with something, but I would suggest that we at least talk to the Water Pollution Control Facility, the sewer commissioners, to see what their game plan is, because we're running out of sewer capacity very quickly, and that will stop all economic growth in the town of Wareham immediately. So we have to make a decision, and we can't go for the pie in the sky Maritime Academy dump.
To answer your question, Mr. Sullivan, at our last meeting, I believe Mr. Kluber said originally, the original plans for the onset fire station did include one, but the new plans, when they downside, would not include it. So I've not verified that, but according to the chairman of the Prudential Committee, that was the answer he gave us last week.
Yeah, I spoke to them also. They said they could, it wouldn't be easy. Originally, they were going to put it in the old place, but they said they can't actually provide a spot for an ambulance, but it's
I
not
mean,
ideal.
It's still something, we have to discuss, but
Yeah,
this was,
it's
they
all up
wanted
in
me
the
to
air,
come
but-
before you.
But we need to do something. We
Yep.
need to do it soon.
Judy?
I would recommend that this board ask the sewer commissioners to come before us, or a representative from the sewer, to talk about the capacity and the committed capacity, because my understanding is that there's some question about how much free space we have in terms of the plant. So I think it would be incumbent upon us to invite them to come to us.
Yeah, we can do that. I can put that in for the 29th, next week. We want to concentrate on the warrant, get that done. But the 29th, we can have them come. At least we should know about that regardless of anything else that's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
You're correct.
And,
Jim?
Go ahead, Jim.
as some may know, may not know, if you're looking at the police department, we own considerably further over than what apparently looks to be the property boundary. So, and it is a centrally located place right there. So if there's some way we could somehow keep it in that general area, even down the street, I think it behooves itself to, it's sort of central. And I know where you're talking over to Minot and what's that, Great Neck Road, that property back there. It's in that corner. I know, I didn't think the fire department was too interested in that spot. It's a crazy intersection there. It's a residential area. These are my opinions, based upon, living here, not as long as yourself, but, quite a while. So, it's not easy, I'm sure, Mrs. Smith.
No, we've been through this 2 other times, and to your point, locating the police station on the property where it is, in a prior study, we had land from an owner that abuts that property that was going to donate the land to the town, so that would have been a good spot. We had the room to do it. Unfortunately, it never moved forward at that time because it never passed a vote for an override. Right now, there's not that added space, and you've got the river behind it, and that's certainly something that we have discussed, initially, do we do something right where it is? Can we add on to that? I mean, all of these things are things that we're looking at. We're not going to leave any stone unturned, I guarantee you that. The discussion with the fire district, they probably are not interested in one building, but they would be interested perhaps and want to have future discussion in a campus style. And actually, we're going to look at a campus style Thursday, where you would have a separate police station and a separate fire station, but on the same lot. There are 3 or 4 that are fairly new that we're going to tour to see, and there might be some future discussions with the district in that regard. But we're still in the early stages. We're looking at everything, and I guarantee you we will not leave any stone unturned. But it wouldn't be worth our time and effort to keep on looking at these 2 properties and trying to figure something out if they're not going to be available.
Okay, thank you. Patrick?
All right, so I've always sort of been in favor of the minor forest property over the years because it's high and dry, which is another issue we have in this town, is trying to find a piece that's high and dry, which is problematic. And as we all know, there's, you get down to the Deacon School, there's lots of water that can come over to that place, which can be a problem. And the Deacon School, it creates a problem because now you gotta take the building down because you can't reuse that building, so it's gotta go. So there's a cost to taking down the building. And that building is old, and there will be abatement necessary, which will cost plenty of money. Secondly, I'm not in favor, and I have never been in favor, of subsurface disposal for a sewer treatment plant. Package-wise, it's not so bad. If you have you set up a small area or whatever, it's no big deal. But 400,000 gallons going subsurface disposal, I'm not, somebody will have to do some real work to get me, and I know something about this, just so you know. We'll have to do some real work to convince me that that's a good idea. And that's how I feel about it at this point. All right?
Okay, thank you. Yeah, we'll speak with the sewer commission, and find out, more about this. I know that, you're looking for a faster direction from us, rather than slower, but, unfortunately, you've caught us at your time.
Yeah, I know.
For other stuff.
I know.
Derek.
It's difficult.
What are your thoughts?
First, I'd just like to clarify about the safety of the building. It is a safe building that's under the care and control of the chief of police. It is not ideal for its purposes. For the safety of the officers and the prisoners. That's the way they handle it and man and station it. Again, it's not ideal for its purposes, but the use of the term unsafe was, I think it was in lieu of something else, and I think that should be just corrected for the record.
We'll agree to disagree.
So, just something to bite on there.
Okay.
The subsurface, that's supposed to be treated water that's going out there?
Yes.
It's the infiltration.
So it would be
pit.
treated going over?
Oh, it's treated and goes into the ground, yeah.
Right.
It's just, it's never been it's not
It's the
really a
same
good
water that
idea.
goes out into the river?
Yes. It would go into the ground up there as well. And, we had some conversation with Bourne recently, and they're doing a package treatment plant over by their police department, police station. They did some homework, and I can remember the discussion, and they weren't too crazy about subsurface disposal either. But it's a smaller treatment plant facility, and it might suit them. It might work for them.
They're doing some disposal under their police station, actually.
They're doing some underground disposal.
Under their police station. So,
New police.
They do that in Florida, in the agricultural areas. They pump the treated water out there and they put it back into the ground.
No, that does happen.
Yeah.
she's saying don't use Florida as an
I'll try to treat
example.
You won't need fertilizer to grow tomatoes.
Yeah,
So
and
it-
so I have sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I have reached out to Mr. Buckland too, to see if there's anything that he would know that was available, because obviously we do even have to look at private properties that might be more centrally located, that might
Bill.
work out and that we might get a good deal on. So, I mean, it's just that these two, these two properties seem to right now be in the forefront, but we don't want to waste our time if we have to go looking for something else.
Yep.
Because if that bill comes out, we want to be ready to, 90% is a good thing to go for.
Yep.
Be shovel ready.
So you'd be looking for something, certainly a commitment within a matter of a month or two at the latest?
Yes.
Okay. Just so I get a sense of the timeline here so we can schedule this, because we're not going to solve it tonight. We're not going to solve it on the 29th with the sewer commissioners. And so we're going to have to keep it this too.
Don't we have that EDA study coming out or from on Deacon's?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we're waiting, I would say it's tough to give a definitive answer. And given with COVID, who knows what's gonna happen? Maybe they have to keep on using Deacon's for a few years. So how long would that, if that bill came out, would you have to start construction right away or?
Soon.
Is
I
that
would
for
assume that they
shovel-ready
only have a certain amount of money. They're going to put together a committee to review who's doing what, and once that money's gone, the money's gone.
So if we're still utilizing Deacon's, then that's not an option, right?
But I think if you have, you have your feasibility study done, and you have your drawings, and you have a
Yeah.
commitment, that, I mean, it's obviously going to take time to apply for that grant.
Okay.
So, I think we have time, but I don't think we want to spin our wheels and drag our feet.
90% reimbursement is a heck of a nice
It is,
reimbursement.
and, right now, they are looking statewide at shared facilities at a higher feeling than they are singles. And,
I get it.
I mean, the other thing with Deacon's too, I mean, the town could sell it to help pay for a new building, or
Well,
they
that's the
could
other thing
utilize
that's
it for something else. So, I mean, there's a lot of things
Yeah.
to consider, and I will meet with, our town administrator
Right.
and talk about some of these, but the committee, they said, how can we move forward with this if we don't know if it's available? And so that's what they wanted me to find out.
It's a good committee, there's a lot of good people on it, and they'll come up with a solution.
And I'm glad we could clarify that for you tonight.
Thank you.
The only thing we clarified is we have no decision.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Alan?
Let finish.
Huh?
Let finish.
Oh.
No, I'm good.
Okay.
And then once we get further along and we're pretty close to our recommendation, we'll come in and obviously we will update you before we do anything further. But
Yep.
right now, this has been a question in the back of the committee's mind is how can we look at that if we don't know it's really available?
Thank you, Claire.
And the other thing is we do have Plymouth County Sheriff's Department also has an interest. They bring their female prisoners in on a weekend, and Wareham has always housed them over the weekend. So they're very interested. They're very interested in helping in any way they can with anything that they can do to help this move forward, writing grants or anything like that. So we have some real good interest going, and we just want to keep at it.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Clay.
On the EDA grant, the grant has been sent in, so we might have an answer October, early November.
Thank
from
you.
Serpent.
Thanks for the update. Okay. Next up, vote to ratify hiring of David Requena, Director of Inspections, Building Commissioner. Is the first one, and we also have Michael Resendes, mechanic at Municipal Maintenance. So,
I move that we affirm the appointment of David Requena, Director of Inspections and Building Commissioner.
Second.
okay, we have a motion to ratify Mr. Requena's hiring as Director of Inspectional Services, Building Commissioner, and a second by Patrick, motion by Judy. Discussion?
I'd just like to say that I went and reviewed the applications, and I spoke with town administrator and assistant town administrator, so I'm pretty good.
Okay, good.
It's good to have him back.
It's
Brickweed is a
great to
known
have him back.
quantity. Like any building commissioner, you make enough decisions, you're gonna make some that are gonna aggravate some people. I didn't agree with everything he did, but I think by and large, he did a pretty strong job when he was here before, so. Alan?
I think it was a shame that he lost in the first place. Can't hear you. Oh, sorry, the button. Button's off, what the hell? Hey, it's my
That didn't
turn.
happen when you were talking about the safety. Boy.
My turn. I'll give you a safety a little bit later. You know, David left for other reasons. It wasn't the actual job itself. It wasn't easy in Wareham for a building inspector. I think we've gone through, what, 6 and 9 years or something?
Yeah.
The number's crazy. But he was able to bring forth articles for town meeting and get things started. He was frustrated, I think, really because you go to the court, to the magistrates, and half the time they'd smile at you and make no decision. You go out the door as if it's like a waste of time. The one that we're fighting right now has been in court back and forth probably 3 years.
Yep.
So that was part of the whole thing. But now that we have the article that allows us more leverage to do these things, I think it'll work out fine. I'm glad to have him back.
Yeah, unfortunately, in order to get anywhere, you gotta file in Superior Court. You can't take them to the local court,
No.
because the local court just kills you, because, you know, it is what it is. And, it's just too bad. But, it's so good to have him back. I got to, be involved in the interview process, because I was available in obvious reasons. And, you know, he's quite a character, and I think he really fits well for us, and I'm glad to have him back.
Okay. Anything else? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500, unanimous. Thank you.
Move to ratify the appointment of Michael Resendes as a mechanic at municipal maintenance.
Second.
Okay, motion to ratify the hiring of Mr. Resendes, mechanical at municipal maintenance, by Judy, seconded by Patrick. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. Welcome aboard, Mr. Resendes, as well. Selectmen's fee schedule.
This was updated. Jim and I had a couple of questions, or we had a couple of conversations about, you know, whether 50 cents should be in the last column, so we sort of blew those away. So this selectmen's fees schedule now includes the constables. It didn't before. And we've gotten rid of the, you know, $22.22 or something like that. Silly figures. These are, when we looked at these before, they're in line or higher than surrounding towns, and so I would recommend that we adopt them as presented.
Second.
Okay, motion to adopt the fee schedule as presented by Judy, seconded by Alan. Discussion?
Yeah, I noticed you rounded down.
Yeah.
You rounded down.
No.
She did.
Oh, dear.
She did.
I
Did she
did,
get hit in the-
actually.
did she
I
get
did.
hit in
What
the
I
head
did
over the
was I
weekend?
took I did.
Patrick's in shock over there. Patrick said you never met a fee you didn't fall in love with.
No, that was me.
Yeah.
I think it was everybody.
No, I'm just.
Okay.
Just want to say that.
All right. Wow, she does have a
The
heart.
only reason why I'm gonna vote for it is because she rounded down.
Oh, so that's what it was. It was a sop to you. She knew it. Okay. All right. Well, we have a motion and a second, do we?
Yes.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
500. We're good. Nobody opposed, nobody abstains. Excellent. Discussion and vote to place articles upon the fall town meeting warrant. Let's see, we got a little handout here to start the meeting. We just want to run down through it. I believe these are Derek's requested articles.
Yeah, it's, we'll see, I think 2 more by the harbor master at least, but this is just sort of the annual ones we have in there, approve and fund the FY 20, should be full FY 21 capital plan, so I'll just change that out. Transfer free cash, we do it to the Plymouth County OPEB Trust Fund and Stabilization Fund. I do want to adjust this one because we'd had it to the budget lines, but that amends the budget. So I will take that out, the FY21 budget lines, and include departments in there. That is in case we're going to be supplementing any budgets, any
Okay, so you're
any
taking out
operation.
stabilization fund?
Right, it's keep stabilization fund and put and town departments. So I delete two FY21 budget lines as approved in Article 7 of the Spring 2020 Annual Town Meeting.
Okay, so it's going to be stabilization fund. Can you get,
I'm going to change that language and email
yeah,
it.
get clean copies to us?
Yep.
All right, good.
And get them to, yeah, to Cassie.
PEG Access is the just the one we have every town meeting, transferring the money to Wareham Community TV. We have 2 union contracts that are off cycles from the others, and that's the lieutenants and sergeants. So they'll be amended on this one. Says police unit should be the lieutenants
They're all
and
done, right?
the sergeants.
Okay.
The police are these 2 unions are off cycle. And then this other article, which shouldn't have 8 on there, is to pilot agreements for the Borrego projects. And that's the, if they get approved, but it'd be 140 Tyonet Road, 150 Tyonet Road. So the first one, 140, is 20 megawatt project plus or minus. 150, 20 megawatt project plus or minus. 27 Charge Pond Road with anticipated capacity of 12.5 plus or minus megawatts. 0 Maple Springs Road, we'll probably have to do an additional identifier on there since there's a couple that lists like that, just to make sure you get the map block and lot. And that's 17 and a half plus or minus. And then we can get the we can actually get those agreements out over to you. We're looking at, I think it's over 12,000 per megawatt DC. So the first year's payments, depending on what the total megawatt output is with the plus or minus, would be about $840,000, escalating 2.5% thereafter.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yep.
On this particular Article 8, I think either planning or zoning, I think 1 or 2 of the projects are still up in the air as far as the land and stuff. Do we need to have anything in here, or do we have to hold off until they make a decision?
Well, no, I wouldn't hold off. I'd keep on going with it because
I'm
we're
just
going.
asking because
we run out of time next week and they pass it the day after, we're in trouble.
Right.
do we
So
put
I'd rather be ready.
do you put something in there if approved by
Well, that-
planning or
that-
zoning?
I mean, the projects can't go forward without the appropriate permits
Right.
anyway, so
Understand.
you've got to get all the i's dotted and the t's crossed
So
before it
at
takes
to-
effect.
if that's the case, something goes wrong, at town meeting, you're gonna have to make a correction. Take a project out if it happens.
Mr. Chairman, it could always be, if all the i's weren't dotted and t's crossed, you could just make a motion to pass over the article. So you won't be bound until you know that all the necessary
Yeah,
stuff.
I think 3 of the 4 are gonna get approved, I'm just not sure about the 4th one.
Yeah.
I just don't wanna lose out because there's a possible issue because of how it's written, that's all.
Well, remember, the motion
Yeah.
can always
That's what I'm
encompass
asking.
less than the article, it just can't
Yeah.
encompass more.
Okay, that's all I'm trying to get at.
Yeah, I think having more articles isn't better on this
I don't
town
have a
meeting.
problem, I just wanna make
So-
sure we don't lose. Thank you.
Yeah.
Have we, excuse me, have we signed have we voted to approve those agreements yet?
You have not.
We haven't seen them, right?
Yeah, you have not.
Okay, and 0 Maple Springs, that's like brand new to me. Did I miss a memo?
I think it's part of the 4 projects altogether on there. It's probably just the address of what they listed on the agreement. That's why I said get the map block and lot, which would point it out better, because there's about 40 Maple Springs on the assessor's database.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's part of, I don't think it, it's just, I'm drawing a blank on it.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty, I mean, I can.
Yeah,
look there.
you're in tune to it, so.
I just don't know about that one, but if we can just take them off, I'm not real big on putting in complete articles on there, but it's,
Well, I think this was just because next week I'm going to guess you're going over a whole bunch of them. So, if there's any corrections to this, whatever we need to do for corrections, we can send out ahead of
all
time.
right, I'm good.
Okay, I'd ask for a motion to put these all on the warrant with the corrections that the town administrator has
So
indicated.
moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Judy, seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500. That's not necessarily a recommendation, but that's
That's just to put it on.
just to put them on, just to clarify for the media.
Okay, good, because I'm, you know, I'm.
Yeah,
doing
if
it.
you don't like the article, you get to say you don't.
So, all right, good.
The next one we have in the packet is the town meeting warrant article to transfer the McKinney-Vento funds to transportation revolving account by Kim Shaverhood and the request of the Wareham School Committee, and I would recommend that we put that in. Or that's my
We
motion.
put it on.
Yep.
Put it on.
Okay, we have a motion to put it on,
Yes.
and a second.
Second, I don't care. She can do our second.
Clayton's got a question.
Alan?
I'd ask Rich, I'm not positive on this, but McKinney-Vento money is specific for a program. Are they allowed to take that money and move it, even though it's transportation for school, for something that doesn't fall into McKinney-Vento?
Rich, do you mind if I answer? Because this is the reimbursement of those funds.
I
And
understand.
it's just reimbursed to transportation. It's for the transportation costs for the students. So you,
My question is simply, when we get money from that particular, program, it's normally to offset the expenses for that program.
no, it doesn't offset. It reimburses you for expenses you've already
Well,
paid.
technically with the terms, all I'm saying is that they want to take this money and use it for a little different purpose, that's all. It's okay, I just want to make sure we don't violate the rule.
The explanation actually uses the word "the town receives reimbursement," so.
I know what this, I know, I
Yeah.
read the article,
Yeah, I know.
I'm concerned, because I know what McKinney-Vento is for and how it works.
Right. Is the
Okay,
motion-
we have a motion by
And a
Judy, a second by Patrick. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, abstained, 500.
I'm
We'll
gonna
get that one
oppose.
on.
Peter, I'm opposing that one.
Hmm?
I'm opposing
You're
that.
opposing it, okay. Okay, so we'll call that 410?
Yes.
All right. We also received and endorsed the master plan, which had been on the previous town meeting warrant. We set that aside because of the COVID issues.
I move that we place it on the warrant.
Second.
The identifier is the town meeting endorsement of 2020 Wareham Master Plan.
Where is it?
It's in your email. It's the same thing, they restated the whole thing. I'm sure you remember every word.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Judy, a second by Alan. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 500 on that one.
That's it.
Last time, well, it is and it isn't, though. Last time around, we had a petition article from Mike Flaherty et al. To do change the name from the Deaconess at Minor Forest School to Wareham Elementary School. Mike reached out, I think, about a week and a half ago and just wanted to know what the deadlines were. This was on the warrant the last time.
Motion to put on the warrant.
That doesn't mean we support the article. It just means that we're, in times of COVID, we're not asking him to go out and get a whole bunch of signatures all over again. I mean, it's not a huge amount, but still, it's less contact with other people. I've made my thoughts clear on the name change. I'm sure everybody will at some point or another. But nonetheless, why put somebody, through the exercise?
Can we do that?
Actually, it's a citizen's petition, it goes out automatically. We really don't even need to make a motion. Sorry.
Well, but that's if he,
No, if
that's
he
if he submits a new petition.
Well, I think we had it on, and then we held off on it. You asked the moderator, it was on this,
I
the
think the
spring.
problem is the meeting is over.
All of the articles died.
Yes, they
I'd
did.
ask for clarification, that's all.
Yep.
And Claire, correct me if I'm wrong. There were actually two articles, I think, weren't there? But one or two.
Yeah.
I think we voted to pass over the two articles, and then when the meeting was adjourned or finished up, that was it. Those articles are gone.
Yeah.
By operation of law.
Okay.
The only way that this would get back before the October meeting would be either go out and collect I think it would be 100 signatures.
It's special.
Oh, that's right, it's the,
this is
we
considered
changed
an
it to
annual
the
now.
fall.
Yeah.
This is another annual.
Fall
so it's just-
annual, right? No,
Yeah. Ken.
you're quite right.
Yeah.
So it would be the lower amount, or if the board chose to put it on just out of a matter of courtesy, which you could do if you wanted to.
I'll make the motion to put it on,
I'll second it.
because it's so close time-wise, it's not fair.
I'll
Yeah.
second it.
Okay, motion by Alan to put the second, to put this, and we're going to use the language that he used
Same thing?
in his second submission
Yes.
that came in for the Springtown meeting. Okay, we have a motion by Alan and a second by Judy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained.
Opposed.
Okay, 410 on that one. And I guess that's it for the articles we have before us. We will be getting some from planning. Derek indicated a couple more from the harbor master. I don't think there's going to be much else at this point, but who knows? Citizens can always come up with something.
Yeah, there'll be some CPC ones, we know.
Yep.
They're coming.
Oh, do you have a sense of how many of those?
What?
CPC, yeah. Do any of them involve town property?
No, housekeeping and
Yeah,
a few
well,
others.
there's one for the borrowing for Tremont Nail, paying the debt on the
Yeah.
on that, I believe.
It's administrative.
Yeah, there is one potentially for the fitness court, and I don't know if they had other applications. In the fitness court, we may request not to hold off on that one.
Okay. That's fine. Well, I guess we'll find out as the week goes on. What I will do is I will start, I'll work with Cassie in the office, make sure these get onto a warrant and get out to the board and to the moderator and to the finance committee as the initial whack at the warrant. And as they come in, we'll disseminate the same way, just, so that they have them. And next week, we will vote to put on what we vote to put on, and we will close the warrant afterwards, and off we go. About the size of it. Let's see, any other town business not reasonably anticipated 48 hours prior to the posting of this meeting? Alan?
No.
Patrick? Judy? Jim?
Where were we at on that?
48-hour business.
Anything after that?
TA report, liaison, minutes?
All right, yeah, I'm good then.
Okay. Town administrator report.
I think I sent the earlier the information on the flood maps and stuff. Mr. Buckland also said that what's going to happen is our bylaws will be reviewed to see what changes need to be made. So there would be no way it would go on October. It wouldn't be ready. So that's a good thing. We know wait in there.
Yeah.
I don't think we had the trash on there, but if you want, we had a meeting with Carver today that was very effective.
Address it, just
My
so,
mistake.
I
You
mean,
can talk about it in liaison, or no, you can talk about it now, because he
Yeah,
brought it up.
we probably have trash on there, right?
Right, we need to have we have the revolving account already, but we need to figure out yeah.
We need to figure out what we want to do.
Yeah.
And I guess you can either wait to the liaison report, and you can speak to it then too. Or
No,
speak
it's
to it now.
yeah, I
Go
just
ahead.
didn't,
He
I
brought
didn't
it up.
want,
It's under his report.
yeah,
so
I
we
didn't
can
want to
talk.
miss out on it. I was just thinking about
No,
that, that's why,
Yeah, it's, things have changed quite a bit. And, Marion is, moving forward to withdrawal.
Yep.
But there's like a little catch in there that if we pass, being we, both us and Carver, would both have to pass the restated amended agreement, which would have to put back on the warrant to review that, then they would not withdraw, because then it would just become an administrative arm to oversee future liabilities. But on the other hand, if they do withdraw, we could continue as a district and assess the towns for the cost of operation of the convenience center, transfer station, whatever you'd like to call it.
we wouldn't have to worry about ownership of the property.
In changing, possibly having to ask the legislature for permission to operate it in another town, in which Attorney Bowen had spoken to me about. And I also asked, just for curiosity's sake, our attorney of for CMW, and he's gonna get back to me on that. And, you know, and I sent you all a copy of, what would be the agreement for input. And if you see any problems or you have some concern with it, for the withdrawal of Marion, because, I represent, you know, I'm one of 3 representatives from the town, but the town's on the hook technically, as is Carver, whatever we do. It's not, the districts is just like an administrative arm, and, you know, that oversees the operation, but the towns are responsible for funding. It's just we were very fortunate over the last, I don't know, since 82 or 4, that, you know, Covanta, CMAS was utilizing our airspace in our landfill and paying us in different ways to cover the cost of the disposal. That's all gone. So we want to make sure that everybody's on board as if we move forward on this, to stay in the district and with the agreement as sent out to all of us here.
Yeah, I'm trying to dig it up on the phone now.
No.
Attorney
I had a
Bowen wants to
question about
speak
it.
to
Rich?
Jim, who drafted this withdrawal agreement?
Is that what
Do you
Peter
know?
wants? I printed it.
Huh?
Does Peter want it?
You want that?
Oh, thanks.
There was, Marion put in terms and conditions, and Mr. Crotty, who works for the district, drafted it. We had a meeting last week. There was discussion about it. It came back. There's been a couple technical changes on dates. I think they were both changed from one was 90, one was 95. The date was both changed to 95 now, you know, referring to an agreement as it had been changed. And there's been a couple of questions on it, but that's why we're asking for input. So before we go in on, I believe it's the 23rd, we have a meeting coming up to vote on this.
Yep.
We want to say, this is what we'd like, this is our concerns, and that's why I sent it out. And, you know, please.
Just with your permission?
Yep.
I did take a look at it, and I was curious about the document because, you know, Marion and Carver are represented by the town council, and I was by the same council, and I was looking at this thinking, geez, if I were in Carver, I probably wouldn't be too happy about this. But I see this was drafted by someone completely different.
Yeah, see, it's kind of funny how it came about. They being Marion presented it to us.
Yeah.
And, you know, at first they wanted, you know, some equipment, and then they talked about, Attorney Crowdy put in about money and this and that, but that's mostly gone. I don't know about one piece of equipment. And a sticking point for us was a liability related to the landfill. And if they wanted to, they wanted to wash the hands of all liability.
Oh, yeah.
So we're like, oh, you know about that. And you know, as it's set up now, and where the district is financially, we could fund any liability, you know, future liabilities for healthcare and post-retirement benefits or whatever, put it into a trust at this point in time. So that's frozen. So that's all covered for all of us. Moving forward, you know, we were discussing today, we could front load the cost of employment on that too, so that we're paying as we go along, because we'd be in a very fortunate situation as far as starting at zero, where the town unfortunately is not. And I mean, they get this huge debt on unfunded liabilities, where the district would have zero, and if we plan it properly moving forward, it could be covered and not have to worry about the town having to fund it in the future. So a lot of moving parts, but go ahead, I'm sorry, I digressed.
Oh, with your permission,
Yep.
Mr. Chairman. Yeah, the liability provisions in here are definitely going to take
I'm not liking AB1.
a lot of
Which one?
examination. It's a 6-page agreement, and I think I already have over a page of comments about questionable It's nothing improper, but just things I would have very detailed questions about. I'll put it that way.
I think the notion that, we're supposed to go out and determine by,
June
the
30th of 2021.
2021, whether we've got a Superfund site on our hands.
Or forever waive our rights.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's-
And
that's too cute by half.
That's not a winner.
For which property
even
is that?
clever
And
cute.
for both. They're talking about both the transfer station property and the landfill.
No, I think if you read if I read it, maybe I read it incorrectly. They're on the hook for the landfill, but on the transfer station, we're having a 21E done at this point in time, a phase 1. If we need a phase 2, we'll do that. And the same goes for Benson Brook. They would waive any of our responsibility to it. It was kind of built on top of right next to the landfill anyhow.
I could sort of see where you're getting that, but then if that's the case, then B1 needs to be stated differently, because you could go either direction with the language they used, right?
And I agree that the problem with this is that it's an attempted restatement of what's already a matter of law. And the only time somebody goes to restate what's already a matter of law is when they're trying to it's just.
That's why you have it. That's why we ask for your opinions on this, and we have
There's another-
environmental attorney, we have
what?
Yourself, so.
There's another wrinkle in this too, which is you can't convey away liability
Well, yeah.
for hazardous materials in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
correct.
If you're a responsible party, you're in that notice of responsibility to do the cleanup. So all of this stuff just gets,
Yeah, I mean,
Right.
if,
you've
you
got
know what hits the
an
fan.
effort to shift away responsibility for latent, undiscovered claims. You know, what happens if 5 or 10 years go by and all of a sudden, you discover something, or the law changes and something that wasn't considered to be a hazardous waste now is a hazardous waste. It's enough.
Well, so, I mean, we need the input on that.
Yeah.
And if there's a question about it,
We'll spend some time
Well,
We'll spend some time
that's all
Thursday.
right.
We'll
And-
spend some time Thursday shredding it, don't you
Yeah,
worry.
yeah.
We'll
have you armored up.
no, I need, I think this would be the best solution with Marion's withdrawal to resolve our issue related to a transfer station and continued operation. So we need to finesse this and caress it however we can in order to make it acceptable to the parties. That was it. And Mr. Sullivan, maybe you could help us
Yeah,
out.
no, I think what we're saying is that it's on the right path, and part of we need to, everybody who's been talking about, we need a plan B or some sort of backup, and if we completely do away with district, we're in trouble.
Right.
So that's maintaining that. So it's in our best interest to get this going. If Marion wants out,
They're out.
that's fine, and just make sure we're protected. And I think
Let the chips fall where they may in terms
Right.
of liability.
Yep.
Right.
But you got all the chips.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're willing to, and again, waive any of our responsibility, which we can't technically on the Benson Brook property. That's built on top, right aside and on top, right aside of the old landfill they had over there, with the leachate pit next to it, right?
Yes.
So, I mean.
Now you're getting into downgrading property status, and you sue that old owner,
What
and
do we own,
it's.
2 acres there?
Yeah.
And so who's responsible? I was there before, and, where did it leak from? It's all concrete and.
Yeah, exactly.
and
Who's skunk who?
bituminous.
That's what the fight is.
Right. So, I mean, take a look at it, whatever you think needs to be done. I don't know if you want to speak directly with Mr. Crotty with your emails, in the kindest way you possibly can.
You're asking a lot, Jim.
And, no sense in, going, through me to them, and, I mean, if you want to just send it to me and I can send it to them, that's fine, coming from.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But thank you.
Okay, thank you for for getting this out to us so early
And we, yeah,
in the day.
and this will wrap up anything to do with the solid waste trash, is that we did meet with Carver today, had some good discussion. You know, especially with everything so fluid and moving, and I think we're on the same page, what we'd like to do. Would you say?
Yeah, I think it was a good discussion. It changed the idea of who's working and operating. And that was a big change. That was good. So
And we're meeting again, the 30th, is it?
the
You sent me the date and time.
I think the 30th at
So we're pushing it, we're moving it along.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good. Anything else from your report?
no.
You're done?
I'm toast.
Okay, you're toast. Yeah, we're all kind of
We're
toasted.
not making motions past the hour of 10.
No,
Yeah, you're
probably
running
not.
out of time.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah, we better get Alan going before the clock ticks on
He's
him here.
waiting.
Got anything for us?
Oh, yeah. The Tuesday, what do you expect?
Oh, boy.
Okay.
Cliff Notes version.
No. Age-friendly communities that we've been talking about for a while through AARP, et cetera. You can send this over to Peter. We need a letter written, if the board's okay, applying for that status with AARP. I found out a couple of days ago that by basically submitting that letter, will automatically be accepted as and listed as an age-friendly community. We have a survey and stuff that's all completed. That will be sent out through the Council on Aging, and that just finishes the last piece. And basically, we can start to apply for grants through hospitals, et cetera. So we'll hopefully have some extra funding available for the Council on Aging for increased services. So that's another piece that we've finally completed. The bike path, actually in Mattapoisett, they had the Mattapoisett rail path on Sunday. I was there representing Wareham. They just had a run through and stuff, and they're in the process of finishing up the second leg. I met 4 Wareham residents who actually were surprised to see. We talked about them possibly reaching out and starting a Friends of the Bike Path again, because they're the ones that can raise money, whereas the Bike Path Committee can't raise it on its own. So I'm hoping to start that up, and I'd reach out to the residents of the town that are interested in a bike path for Wareham to step up. We still have a bike path committee with no members right now. So whatever you can do there. We're scheduled for 2024 for the bike path, which is Narrows and Minot Ave to be done. And that's still in the queue. The other piece is Patrick had a problem getting in, but last night the Board of Selectmen / sewer commissioners, and I think 3 or 4 of our sewer commissioners met and just talked about ongoing projects and capital expenses. And there was an agreement about once every quarter meeting to discuss whatever capital projects would be coming down, so board knows what their, basically what their expenses and potential expenses would be. As far as today, Mass Select Board Association, as they're called now, we had some information on education for the coming year from the state. The dollars have been determined to be adequate for the fiscal year 2021, which means between what Chapter 70 is and some additional funding, they'll be able to fund this year's school. I'm not saying it's going to be more than what they need, but they're using the word adequate, which is September through June. The problem is that the state has real concerns for the next fiscal year 2022, whether there'll be sufficient funds or not. So the school needs to be, and we can't tell the school department what to do, but they're going to have to be extremely fiscally responsible, because we have a new school coming down the line, which is expensive to outfit. And if the funds are short, as it is, for 2022, what happens if they don't have enough funds to actually open the school? So they need to look at that very carefully. DESE, as we know, has basically issued guidelines for how they classify a red, yellow, green, and unshaded areas. It's by the number of COVID cases per 100,000. There's a new program called the Mobile Testing Rapid Response Program. I thought it was kind of cute that the program is not designed to test individuals who could develop COVID-19, but they will test, if someone comes down with it, they will test the other kids in the classroom. And they're basically will come to any school area, whatever, at no charge to the town, and do the testing. And they basically have spread these different test facilities, these units, all over the state, so everybody has an equal chance at it. There was a memo which Kim has from September 11th, which explains all the different information required. Also, the Board of Health got that information as well. There is a recommendation that the local cities and towns take a 3-week average to determine if they have to move from one level to another, not just do it in a 1-week time frame. The next piece, which I'm not very happy with, is the police reform. I don't know if anybody read the report I sent out to everybody. There is 2 bills. The Senate bill passed, which is S 2820. The House passed a bill, H 4886. These 2 bills now are in conference to see how they come up with one. One of the bills, for the Senate in particular, sets up what they call a commission. This commission basically has oversight over all departments and offices, complaints, etc. So they basically control everything that comes through now if this goes through, which makes life extremely difficult, I think. It also removes civil service input. You know, if there's anything, it also eliminates the arbitration process that we have in our union contracts. It does also provide what we call qualified immunity for municipalities and employees. It limits union input. It also includes the state police, which I was surprised to see. MMA does not support the Senate bill. The House bill is really virtually the same almost, except the difference is they don't have a commission, but they add a new office at the state level, which follows the Senate commission more or less, but they don't have this commission piece itself. MMA supports legislation for certification system of offices. They support municipalities' ability to remove themselves from civil service. MMA has also come out against the 24-hour shift for fire departments, which won't go over well for the fire departments. And there's a new certification program that will be required, which will be additional costs, and we're trying to go after that as an unfunded mandate to get the state to pay for it. Just for a local, GATRA, today my SERPET MPO meeting is still not in full operation, they have limited staff, but ridership is slowly increasing, and as it increases a little more, they'll increase service. The Marion Wareham Route 6 bridge over the Weewiganic is scheduled for replacement in 2021. That will cause traffic issues for us. The Route 6 and Swiss Beach Road intersection traffic light project that I got pushed through is going to be done in-house by Mass DOT District 5, and that will be scheduled for 2024. The other piece that I did, we had someone from South Coast Trail, the new director, and some of the other people were there. So I talked about the spur from basically Middleborough, which will be the new station house instead of Lakeville, down to Wareham and Buzzards Bay. They really didn't talk about it at all, the new director. Actually, I don't think she knew anything about it, actually. I pressed on it quite a bit during the discussion, and they got one of the subordinates to basically step up and say that they're actually in the process now, all this late time, of actually doing a study for the possibility of Middleborough to Wareham, Buzzards Bay. So it's not been on the discussion, and the new director has no clue. It's the best way to put it. So they promised that they would be forming this study committee over the next month or so, and that Middleborough and Wareham will now be included. What really bothered me was the Cape Cod Commission is going to be the leading point group as far as this goes. And of course, except for Buzzards Bay, which may or may not get a stop, I don't know why the Cape Cod Commission is involved at all. So I made that comment, let them know what's going on there. And it's imperative that Wareham continue to step up, as well as Buzzards Bay, to push if they want this commuter rail to happen. And that's it for me.
Okay, thank you. Patrick?
No, it's a few minutes at 10. I'll make a motion that we go past the hour of 10 for a maximum of 15 minutes.
Second.
Okay, motion to go past 10 by Patrick, seconded by Judy. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Okay, passes 5-0. Any liaisoning?
No, I got stuff, but we'll do it next week.
Okay, Judy?
Too late.
I'm not really sure whether it's liaison or whether it's, whatever. The Charter Review Group had a workshop meeting last night by Zoom. It was attended by 3 citizens and 1 member of the press. And the presentation was specific. It referred to the documents on file, both on the website and in the town clerk's office. There were some questions from the people participating, which were answered apparently to their satisfaction. There will be 2 documents presented for inclusion on the town meeting warrant from the group. The group will be voting tomorrow to include those 2 articles. And I'm planning to meet with town moderator and Mr. Titlebaum to make sure we can figure out how to do it. It's a very lengthy set of changes that are recommended. Some of them are editorial and some of them are, I'll call, meaty. And so all of the information is on the website, all of it. And as of tomorrow, there will be a corrected, probably, document for the charter itself. The one that's up there, I think, is dated 9/10 or something. There'll be one dated tomorrow, probably. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Jim?
When planning board met last night, I think they had a public hearing on one of the articles that got withdrawn, which would be the recreation, change of zoning for the recreation area.
If they voted to...
I'm not sure, Mrs. Smith, I missed that part.
Oh, okay.
And then they discussed the WV1 village change, Wareham village changes at the end of their meeting.
Yep.
So, I mean, that's about all I can really say on the liaison report there. I believe Attorney Bowen's working on a document for the town related to deed restriction for the Latham Center and get the funds released on that.
Yep.
And that's all. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have anything. We have a couple of sets of minutes.
Yes, we do.
Who was here?
Patrick was not, so I would ask for a motion to approve the minutes of August 18th, 2020, as submitted.
Okay, motion by Judy, seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain.
Abstain.
And
401, Patrick abstaining.
And the September 8th meeting, Mr. Tropiano was not there as well, so I move that we adopt those or approve those as submitted.
Okay, motion to approve those minutes by Judy, seconded by Alan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, abstain. Patrick, 401 again, Patrick abstaining. Okay.
Yippee. Second.
Adjourned by Alan, seconded by Judy with a yippee. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained. 500. Have a good night, Wareham.